Life can feel overwhelming at times. We've all been there, facing challenges that seem impossible to overcome, stuck in moments where everything feels out of control, and wondering why things aren't working out the way we hoped. But in the midst of the chaos, there's a path that leads to peace, resilience, and strength. It's a way of living that doesn't just help you survive the hard times, but teaches you how to thrive, no matter what life throws your way. It's easy to feel powerless when difficulties arise. Maybe it's the stress of work piling up, relationships falling apart, or the crushing weight of self-doubt creeping in when we least expect it. At some point, most of us have wondered, is there something I'm missing? Is there a way to handle all of this better? The answer is yes, there is a way. And for me, that answer came through learning from the timeless wisdom of ancient philosophies, principles that people have used for centuries to navigate life's toughest moments. What I discovered is that true strength doesn't come from trying to control everything around us. It comes from understanding ourselves, mastering our reactions, and focusing on what we can control. It's about finding clarity in the midst of confusion and learning how to stand tall when everything around us is shaking. When you open yourself to these lessons, everything starts to shift. Stress doesn't disappear, but it no longer has the power to control you. Fear still shows up, but it doesn't hold you back. You stop wasting time on things that don't matter and start putting your energy into what truly does. Life becomes clearer, and suddenly you're living on your terms, no longer swayed by the chaos around you. The beauty of these lessons is that they aren't complicated or reserved for philosophers sitting in ivory towers. They are practical, simple truths that anyone can apply. You don't need to go on a spiritual retreat or sit in silence for days to understand them. These lessons are about small shifts in perspective that lead to big changes in your life. One of the first things I realized was that my mind was far more powerful than I had ever imagined. I had spent years letting my emotions run the show, reacting to every setback, every criticism, and every failure like they were personal attacks. But the truth is, most of the things we stress about aren't as big as we make them out to be. They only have power over us because we give them that power. This shift in thinking was a game changer for me. Instead of focusing on what was happening to me, I started focusing on how I responded to it. I learned that I couldn't control other people, the economy, or random events, but I could control how I interpreted and reacted to them. And when you start taking responsibility for your reactions, you gain back a level of power that you didn't even realize you had lost. One of the greatest lessons I learned was that life is not meant to be smooth and predictable. Obstacles are a part of the journey, not something to avoid or fear. These challenges, though painful, are what shape us. They build resilience. Every setback is an opportunity to grow stronger, to become better, and to move closer to your true potential. It's not about avoiding discomfort, it's about embracing it. Let's be real. When you're in the middle of a difficult moment, it's hard to see it as a lesson. It feels like the universe is out to get you, like nothing is going your way. But when you adopt a new mindset, everything changes. You start seeing obstacles not as roadblocks, but as stepping stones. Each challenge becomes a test that helps you grow, sharpen your mind, and strengthen your spirit. One of the core principles I embraced was the idea of focusing only on what you can control. This alone transformed my life in ways I never expected. How often do we waste time worrying about things we can't change? We stress over people's opinions, get anxious about things we can't influence, and spend endless hours replaying events in our heads, wishing they had gone differently. But all of that is wasted energy. The truth is, the only thing you ever truly control is yourself, your thoughts, your actions, your choices. When you stop worrying about what others think or how they might react, You free yourself from so much unnecessary stress. Life becomes simpler, more focused, and more peaceful. You're no longer burdened by the need to please everyone or the fear of failure, because you've shifted your focus to what really matters, your own growth. Another powerful lesson that completely altered the way I view life was learning how to let go of things outside my control. The amount of mental freedom that comes with this realization is staggering. Think about it. How much of our time do we spend agonizing over things that are simply out of our hands? The weather, the past, other people's decisions. These are things we have no say over, yet they dominate our thoughts. Letting go isn't easy. It's a process that requires patience and practice. But once you start, you'll feel a weight lift off your shoulders. You stop fighting the world around you, and you begin to live in harmony with it. Life doesn't always go the way we want, but that doesn't mean we can't find peace in the way it unfolds. Letting go allows you to accept life as it is, not as you wish it were. It brings a deep sense of calm and clarity that no amount of planning or control could ever give you. A part of this journey is also learning to be present. We spend so much time dwelling on the past or worrying about the future that we forget to live in the moment. I used to be guilty of this, constantly replaying past mistakes in my head or worrying about things that hadn't even happened yet. But the truth is, the past is gone, and the future is not guaranteed. The only moment you have is now. When you start living fully in the present, everything changes. You become more aware of your thoughts, your actions, and your surroundings. Life slows down in the best way possible, and you begin to appreciate the little things you once overlooked in your rush to fix the past or control the future. This simple shift in focus makes life more meaningful and fulfilling. Through these lessons, I found that happiness isn't something you chase. It's something you create within yourself. It's not found in material possessions, other people, or external achievements. True happiness comes from living in alignment with your values, focusing on what you can control, and letting go of the rest. I also learned the importance of self-reliance. In a world that constantly tries to tell you who to be and how to act, learning to trust yourself is one of the most empowering things you can do. We often look for validation from others, but the truth is, no one knows what's best for you except you. When you stop seeking approval and start trusting your instincts, you take ownership of your life. Self-reliance doesn't mean isolating yourself from others. It means understanding that your worth and happiness come from within, not from external sources. It's about standing strong in your beliefs, making decisions that align with your values, and having the confidence to walk your own path, no matter what others may say. These lessons are not just intellectual ideas. They are tools you can use every single day to improve your life. They provide a roadmap for navigating life's ups and downs with grace and strength. By embracing them, you'll find that life becomes less about avoiding pain and more about growing through it. You'll discover a deeper sense of purpose, inner peace, and resilience that will carry you through even the most challenging times. This journey is not about perfection, it's about progress. Each step you take toward living these lessons is a step toward a better, more fulfilling life. The beauty of these teachings is that they meet you where you are. Whether you're in the middle of a storm or standing at a crossroads, they offer clarity, direction, and a sense of calm. It's time to take control of your life, to stop letting external forces dictate your happiness, and to start living with purpose. These lessons changed my life, and they have the power to change yours too. Are you ready to begin? The world is often unfair to those who always try to please others. In our desire to be kind, we may unknowingly give up our power, allowing people to take advantage of us. Machiavelli understood this harsh reality better than most. He knew that those who constantly put others first, without carefully managing their boundaries, often end up frustrated, overlooked, or even betrayed. For the nice guys out there, Machiavelli's advice may seem like a cold wake-up call, but it's a necessary one. His lessons, though born from political strategies, are just as relevant in personal relationships and everyday interactions. Machiavelli didn't believe in cruelty for cruelty's sake, but he did recognize the need for balance. He knew that without learning to say no, without demanding respect, and without being a little more strategic, the nice guys would always finish last. So, if you're tired of being walked over, Machiavelli's insights will help you find that middle ground between being too soft and being too harsh. You don't need to become ruthless, but you do need to be smart. You need to understand when kindness is appropriate and when firmness is necessary. One of the first things Machiavelli teaches us is that power dynamics are everywhere, not just in politics. Whether it's at work, in friendships, or even in romantic relationships, people will push boundaries if given the chance. Nice guys often believe that being agreeable will earn them loyalty and respect, but Machiavelli shows us that it often earns the opposite. When you're too eager to please, others may see you as weak, and weakness invites exploitation. Machiavelli's wisdom reveals that respect isn't earned by constantly saying yes. It's earned by knowing when to say no. Saying no doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you a person with limits, and those limits are what protect you from being used. People may not always like it, but they will respect it. And in the long run, respect is far more valuable than short-term approval. Nice guys often fear conflict, but avoiding conflict at all costs can lead to much bigger problems down the road. Machiavelli would advise that small, manageable conflicts now are far better than letting resentment build. Addressing issues head-on with calmness and clarity prevents them from growing into something worse. People who respect you will understand when you need to stand your ground. It's essential to understand that power isn't about dominating others. It's about being in control of your own life. Machiavelli's advice is not about becoming manipulative. It's about realizing that being overly passive puts you at the mercy of others' decisions. Taking control doesn't mean you have to control others. It means you have to control how you react, how much of yourself you give, and when to pull back. One of Machiavelli's core lessons is that appearances matter. This doesn't mean you have to be fake, but it does mean that how you present yourself plays a crucial role in how you're treated. Being nice doesn't mean you have to appear weak or unsure. Confidence can be a form of kindness. When you stand tall, make decisions with certainty, and speak with conviction, people are less likely to take advantage of you. There's a misconception that being nice means never showing strength, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Machiavelli would argue that true strength lies in knowing when to be firm and when to be flexible. People will always test your limits, but it's up to you to show them that your kindness is a choice, not a weakness. When they see that you can be both kind and strong, they will think twice before trying to take advantage of you. Another important point Machiavelli makes is that trust should be earned, not given freely. Nice guys often rush to trust others, believing that their own good intentions will be mirrored. But Machiavelli warns us that this isn't always the case. People are complex, and not everyone has your best interests at heart. Learning to trust wisely instead of blindly can save you from a lot of heartache. It's important to maintain your integrity, but Machiavelli reminds us that integrity doesn't mean being naive. It's okay to question people's motives. It's okay to take your time before fully opening up. Nice guys often fall into the trap of thinking that giving everything up front will make people value them more. In reality, it often has the opposite effect. People value what they have to earn. Machiavelli also teaches us that control over emotions is crucial. Nice guys often lead with their hearts, which isn't a bad thing, But Machiavelli would advise balancing that with rational thinking. Acting purely on emotion can lead to impulsive decisions that may not serve you well in the long run. Learning to pause, reflect, and approach situations with both heart and mind is one of the most valuable skills you can develop. Additionally, Machiavelli understood the importance of adaptability. Life is unpredictable, and nice guys who stick rigidly to one approach, no matter the circumstances, often find themselves outmaneuvered by those who are more flexible. Being adaptable doesn't mean abandoning your values. It means adjusting your strategy based on what the situation requires. Sometimes you need to be kind, and sometimes you need to be firm. Knowing when to switch between the two is key. One of the most surprising lessons Machiavelli offers is that sometimes, in order to protect your peace, you have to distance yourself from certain people. Nice guys often stick around in toxic situations, thinking they can change people with enough patience and kindness. But Machiavelli teaches us that it's not our job to fix everyone. Sometimes, the best thing you can do is walk away. This doesn't mean you should become cynical or untrusting of everyone. It simply means you need to protect your energy. Some people will drain you, no matter how kind you are to them. Machiavelli's wisdom lies in knowing when to invest in others and when to save your energy for yourself. Not everyone deserves access to your time and kindness. Another vital point Machiavelli makes is that you must learn to play the long game. Nice guys often focus on immediate results, hoping that by being good now, they'll be rewarded later. But Machiavelli knew that real success comes from being patient and thinking ahead. It's not just about how people treat you today. It's about how they'll treat you in the future based on the foundations you set now. Machiavelli was also a firm believer in self-reliance. He would tell the nice guys of the world that relying too much on others for validation or approval puts you in a vulnerable position. You need to build a life where your sense of worth and accomplishment comes from within. When you are confident in yourself, other people's opinions have less power over you. Furthermore, Machiavelli understood that sometimes being too predictable can be a disadvantage. Nice guys tend to be open books, always showing their hand too early. But in the world Machiavelli navigated, and even in our own, there's power in keeping certain things to yourself. Not every thought, feeling, or plan needs to be shared immediately. Holding back a little can keep you in a stronger position. In relationships, whether personal or professional, Machiavelli teaches us the importance of reciprocity. Nice guys often give endlessly without expecting much in return, but this can lead to burnout and resentment. Machiavelli would advise ensuring that there's a balance in your relationships. It's okay to give, but it's also okay to expect something in return. Relationships should be mutual, not one-sided. One of the most liberating lessons from Machiavelli is that you don't owe anyone an explanation for protecting your peace. Nice guys often feel the need to justify their boundaries or explain why they can't always say yes. But Machiavelli would argue that your reasons are your own. You don't have to explain your every move, especially if it's about taking care of yourself. Another critical insight from Machiavelli is the power of calculated risks. Nice guys often avoid risk because they fear failure or disapproval. But life rewards those who are willing to take a chance. Machiavelli believed that fortune favors the bold, and while you don't need to be reckless, stepping out of your comfort zone can lead to opportunities you never imagined. Machiavelli's approach might seem cold at first, but it's deeply practical. He understood that the world is not always kind, and in order to navigate it successfully, you need to be both thoughtful and strategic. Nice guys can still be kind and generous, but they need to couple that kindness with awareness, strength, and self-respect. He also emphasized the importance of maintaining a good reputation. Nice guys often think that actions speak louder than words, But Machiavelli knew that perception matters just as much as reality. How others see you can influence how they treat you. Protect your reputation, because once it's damaged, it's difficult to repair. Machiavelli's ultimate lesson for the nice guys is this: kindness without strength will always leave you vulnerable. You can be both kind and strong, and when you master that balance, you become unstoppable. The world needs more kind people, but it needs them to be smart, strategic, and self-respecting as well. Machiavelli taught us that kindness must be paired with strength and strategy, that the world demands more than good intentions. As we move forward, we take that lesson with us. But now, it's time to turn inward and face a deeper question. What does it mean to live authentically, to confront the harsh truths of existence, and to build strength from within? Friedrich Nietzsche, one of the most profound philosophers of existentialism, shows us how to embrace the struggles of life with fierce determination, rejecting comfort and conformity in favor of becoming our truest selves. Nietzsche's philosophy is not for the faint of heart. He believed that life, at its core, is filled with suffering and challenges, but instead of avoiding them, he encouraged us to embrace them fully. Strength doesn't come from avoiding pain, but from walking through it and emerging stronger. Nietzsche teaches us to look at the struggles we face not as things to be feared, but as necessary steps toward personal growth. His idea that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger is a rallying cry for those willing to face life head-on. At the heart of Nietzsche's philosophy is the concept of amor fati, which means love of fate. He urges us to accept everything that happens in life, even the painful and difficult moments, as essential parts of our journey. There is no point in wishing for a life free from hardship, because that life would lack the depth and growth that challenges bring. By embracing amor fati, we stop resisting the inevitable and instead find power in accepting and loving life as it is, not as we wish it to be. Nietzsche also warns us about the dangers of conforming to societal norms. He believed that society often pushes us toward mediocrity, encouraging us to fit in and follow the rules instead of living authentically. To live fully, we must reject the pressure to conform and instead focus on creating our own values, ones that reflect our true selves. Nietzsche's idea of the Übermensch, or the overman, represents an individual who has risen above societal expectations to create their own path, a person who lives by their own values and principles. One of Nietzsche's most famous ideas is the concept of eternal recurrence. He asks us to imagine living our lives over and over again, experiencing the same events endlessly. This thought experiment forces us to consider whether we are truly living the life we want to live. If we were to repeat this life for eternity, would we be satisfied with how we're living it now? This lesson encourages us to live intentionally, making choices that we can stand by not just once, but forever. Nietzsche's philosophy also emphasizes the importance of embracing individuality. He challenges us to break free from the herd mentality, the tendency to follow others blindly, and instead to forge our own unique path. Too often, we let fear of judgment or rejection hold us back from being our true selves. Nietzsche's teachings encourage us to let go of these fears and embrace the freedom that comes with living authentically. Nietzsche also places a strong emphasis on the will to power. For him, life is not about seeking comfort or avoiding pain, but about striving for greatness, pushing our limits, and exercising our will to create meaning and purpose. The will to power is the driving force behind all human actions, the desire to grow, to improve, and to assert oneself in the world. It's about taking control of your life and shaping it according to your vision, rather than passively accepting the way things are. Central to Nietzsche's thinking is the idea that life has no inherent meaning. This can sound bleak, but Nietzsche saw it as liberating. If life has no preordained meaning, then it's up to each of us to create our own. This responsibility can feel heavy, but it's also empowering. We are not bound by anyone else's expectations or values. We are free to define our purpose, to find meaning in the things that matter most to us. Nietzsche also teaches us to embrace creativity as a path to self-discovery. He believed that art and creativity were expressions of the individual's will to power, a way of asserting oneself in the world. By creating, whether through art, writing, or even building relationships, we exercise our individuality and leave our mark on the world. Creativity is not just about producing something beautiful, it's about expressing who we are and what we believe in. Nietzsche's philosophy challenges us to question everything, including the beliefs and values we've been taught. He famously declared that God is dead, not as a literal statement, but as a critique of the traditional moral frameworks that have dominated Western culture. For Nietzsche, these frameworks no longer served humanity's growth, and it was time for individuals to create their own values, based on personal experience and understanding rather than blind faith or tradition. A key lesson from Nietzsche is the importance of overcoming fear. Fear, he believed, holds us back from achieving our full potential. Whether it's fear of failure, fear of judgment, or fear of the unknown, Nietzsche urges us to confront it head-on. Only by facing our fears can we grow stronger and more resilient. Fear is a natural part of life, but it doesn't have to control us. By pushing through fear, we learn what we're truly capable of. Nietzsche also speaks to the power of solitude. While society often values constant interaction and engagement with others, Nietzsche believed that true growth happens in solitude. It is in these moments of quiet reflection that we can confront ourselves honestly, without the influence of others. Solitude allows us to dive deep into our own thoughts and emotions, to wrestle with difficult questions, and to emerge with greater clarity and understanding. Nietzsche challenges us to embrace life's impermanence. Nothing lasts forever, and this impermanence can feel unsettling. But instead of seeing it as a source of anxiety, Nietzsche encourages us to find freedom in it. Knowing that life is fleeting gives us the urgency to live fully, to make the most of every moment, and to pursue our passions without hesitation. It's a reminder that we shouldn't waste time on things that don't matter. Another essential lesson from Nietzsche is the importance of personal responsibility. We are the creators of our own lives, and no one else can define our path for us. It's easy to blame others or circumstances for our struggles, but Nietzsche teaches us that true power comes from taking full responsibility for our lives. This doesn't mean ignoring external challenges, but it means understanding that our reactions and decisions are entirely within our control. Nietzsche's philosophy also highlights the power of embracing discomfort. Growth doesn't happen when we're comfortable. It happens when we push ourselves beyond our limits, when we step into the unknown and face challenges head-on. Discomfort is a sign that we're evolving, that we're breaking free from the familiar and moving towards something greater. Another powerful insight from Nietzsche is the importance of self-awareness. Knowing ourselves, our strengths, weaknesses, desires, and fears is crucial for living an authentic life. Nietzsche believed that many people go through life without truly understanding themselves, living according to the expectations of others rather than their own values. By cultivating self-awareness, we can break free from these external pressures and live in alignment with who we really are. Nietzsche's teachings also stress the value of resilience. Life will knock us down, often repeatedly, but Nietzsche believed that it's not the fall that defines us. It's how we rise again. Each time we get back up, we become stronger, more capable, and more confident in our ability to handle whatever comes our way. Resilience is the key to overcoming life's challenges and continuing on the path of growth. Nietzsche also encourages us to embrace uncertainty. Many of us seek security and certainty in life, but Nietzsche teaches us that uncertainty is not something to fear. It's an essential part of the human experience. By accepting that we can't predict or control everything, we open ourselves up to new possibilities and opportunities for growth. Uncertainty is where creativity, innovation, and transformation happen. Another lesson from Nietzsche is the importance of rejecting complacency. It's easy to settle into routines and habits, but Nietzsche warns that complacency leads to stagnation. To live fully, we must constantly challenge ourselves, push our boundaries, and strive for continuous improvement. Life is not about reaching a destination, it's about the ongoing process of becoming. Nietzsche also teaches us to be wary of conventional morality. He believed that many of the moral values society holds dear are designed to keep people in line, to maintain order rather than to encourage individual growth. Nietzsche urges us to question these values and to create our own moral framework, one that is based on personal experience and authentic understanding, rather than blindly following societal norms. A key aspect of Nietzsche's philosophy is the rejection of victimhood. He believed that seeing ourselves as victims of circumstance strips us of our power and agency. Instead, Nietzsche encourages us to take ownership of our experiences, to use even the most painful moments as fuel for growth. Life may be difficult, but we are not powerless in the face of it. We have the strength to rise above adversity and shape our own destiny. Nietzsche's philosophy also highlights the importance of perseverance. Greatness doesn't come overnight, and the path to achieving our full potential is often long and difficult. Nietzsche teaches us that perseverance in the face of adversity is what separates those who merely survive from those who thrive. It's about pushing forward even when the road ahead seems uncertain or overwhelming. Another important lesson from Nietzsche is the value of embracing failure. In a world that often glorifies success, failure is seen as something to be avoided at all costs. But Nietzsche believed that failure is an essential part of growth. Each failure teaches us something valuable, something that brings us closer to our true potential. Instead of fearing failure, we should welcome it as a teacher, a necessary step on the path to greatness. Nietzsche's philosophy also emphasizes the importance of courage. It takes courage to live authentically, to reject societal norms, and to face life's challenges head-on. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the willingness to act in spite of fear. Nietzsche believed that courage is what allows us to break free from the constraints of conformity and to live a life that is truly our own. Nietzsche's teachings encourage us to focus on self-improvement rather than seeking external validation. Too often, we measure our worth by how others see us, but Nietzsche teaches that true fulfillment comes from within. It's not about being better than others, it's about being better than we were yesterday. This shift in focus allows us to grow without the need for comparison or approval. Nietzsche also speaks to the importance of passion. To live fully, we must pursue the things that set our souls on fire. Whether it's art, science, relationships, or personal growth, passion gives life meaning and direction. Nietzsche believed that a life without passion is a life not fully lived, and he encourages us to follow our passions, even if they take us down unconventional paths. Nietzsche's philosophy reminds us that we are responsible for creating our own happiness. Happiness is not something that is given to us, nor is it something we find by following the crowd. It is something we create through our actions, our choices, and our mindset. By embracing Nietzsche's teachings, we can live a life that is not only authentic, but also deeply fulfilling. As Nietzsche showed us, The path to personal fulfillment requires us to focus inward, to build strength from within, and to create our own meaning without relying on the approval or validation of others. This self-reliance, however, brings its own challenges. One of the most powerful lessons we can learn on this journey is how to free ourselves from the weight of other people's opinions. The ability to ignore people, not out of arrogance but from a place of self-preservation and inner clarity, can be transformative. Learning how to do this effectively allows you to regain control of your time, energy, and mental space, clearing the way for you to pursue what truly matters in life. It's not about cutting everyone off or living in isolation. Rather, it's about understanding whose opinions and actions deserve your attention and whose do not. The world is full of noise, and if we're not careful, we can get swept away by the judgments and expectations of others. These distractions often pull us in directions that don't align with our true purpose. Learning how to ignore people is about creating boundaries that protect your peace, your growth, and your path forward. One of the first things to understand is that not everyone's opinion matters. In fact, most opinions are based on other people's limited perspectives, biases, and personal experiences. These views are often more reflective of their own issues than anything to do with you. When you give too much weight to what others think, you risk letting their fears, insecurities, and limitations dictate your actions. By learning to ignore irrelevant opinions, you allow yourself to stay focused on your own vision. Mastering the art of ignoring begins with recognizing that you cannot please everyone, nor should you try. Every decision you make will be met with some form of criticism. Whether it's from friends, family, or even strangers, people will always have something to say. But constantly seeking approval will leave you feeling drained and unfulfilled. The truth is, no matter how hard you try to accommodate others, someone will always disapprove. The freedom comes when you realize that their approval isn't necessary for you to live a meaningful life. Another essential step is learning to let go of the need for external validation. We often fall into the trap of seeking approval because we equate it with worth. But your worth is not determined by how many people agree with you or praise your choices. Your worth comes from within, from the person you are and the values you hold. When you stop seeking validation, you begin to build a stronger, more independent sense of self, one that is no longer swayed by the changing opinions of others. One of the biggest distractions we face in life comes from trying to explain ourselves to people who will never truly understand us. We feel the need to justify our actions, our dreams, and our goals, hoping that others will see things our way. But the truth is, not everyone is meant to understand your path, and that's okay. Learning how to ignore the need to explain yourself is one of the most liberating steps you can take. You don't owe anyone an explanation for living a life that feels right to you. It's important to recognize that some people are simply not worth your time or energy, whether it's because they are toxic, unsupportive, or constantly negative. These individuals will only hold you back if you allow their voices to get too loud. One of the most empowering things you can do is learn how to walk away from people who bring more harm than good. Protecting your peace means learning when to engage and when to detach. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care about people. It means you care about yourself enough to not let others' opinions or actions control your emotions. When you are overly attached to how others perceive you, you give them power over your state of mind. Detaching allows you to maintain emotional stability, even in the face of criticism or rejection. This practice of detachment is crucial for maintaining your focus on the things that truly matter. Social media has made it even harder to ignore the noise. We are constantly bombarded with other people's opinions, lifestyles, and judgments. It's easy to fall into the trap of comparison or to feel like you need to keep up with everyone else's expectations. But the truth is, most of what we see online is curated to present a certain image. Learning to ignore the superficiality of social media allows you to stay grounded in your own reality instead of being pulled into the illusions of others. Another key lesson in ignoring people is understanding that not every opinion deserves a response. Silence can be powerful. When faced with criticism or negativity, your silence can speak volumes. It shows that you are not affected by petty comments or attempts to bring you down. Responding to every negative remark only wastes your energy and gives more power to the person criticizing you. Sometimes, the best response is no response at all. Setting boundaries is a critical part of learning to ignore people. Without clear boundaries, it's easy for others to encroach on your time, your mental space, and your emotional energy. Boundaries let people know what you will and will not tolerate, and they create a space for you to focus on your own growth. When you set strong boundaries, you are not only protecting yourself, but you are also teaching others how to treat you. It's also essential to recognize that not every disagreement needs to be resolved. There will always be people who disagree with your choices or beliefs. Instead of trying to convince them to see things your way, learn to let the disagreement exist without it affecting you. It's okay for people to have different opinions, and it's okay for you to not engage in every debate. By ignoring the need to prove yourself right, you maintain your focus and avoid unnecessary conflict. One of the most powerful things you can do is cultivate an unshakable sense of self. When you know who you are and what you stand for, other people's opinions lose their power over you. This inner strength allows you to move through life with confidence, regardless of what others say. When you are secure in yourself, you no longer need external approval to validate your choices. A practical way to start ignoring people is by practicing mindfulness. Mindfulness helps you stay present in the moment, focusing on what is happening right now instead of getting caught up in the opinions of others. By being mindful, you can acknowledge criticism or negativity without letting it consume you. This practice helps you remain centered, grounded, and in control of your own reactions. Another important aspect of learning to ignore people is understanding that some criticism can actually be useful. The key is learning to differentiate between constructive feedback and destructive criticism. Constructive feedback comes from a place of care and is meant to help you grow. Destructive criticism, on the other hand, is meant to tear you down. By learning to recognize the difference, you can take what's helpful and leave the rest behind. Ignoring people is not about becoming indifferent to the world around you. It's about choosing where to direct your energy and attention. You can still care deeply about others without letting their opinions dictate your life. It's about creating balance, caring enough to listen when it's important, but knowing when to tune out the noise. You will find that as you start ignoring the unnecessary noise, your life becomes quieter, but in a good way. This quiet allows you to hear your own thoughts more clearly. You become more in tune with your own desires, needs, and goals. With fewer distractions, you can focus more on what truly matters and begin making decisions that are aligned with your true self. There is immense power in focusing on your own path without being swayed by the paths of others. The more you practice ignoring irrelevant opinions, the more confident you will become in your own choices. This confidence will carry over into every aspect of your life, from your relationships to your career, and even in how you view yourself. As you continue to ignore the noise, you will also notice a shift in your relationships. People who genuinely support you will respect your boundaries and your independence. Those who do not will either fade away or adjust their behavior. By ignoring the toxic influences in your life, you create space for healthier, more supportive connections. One of the hardest lessons in ignoring people is learning to let go of the fear of missing out. We often worry that if we're not constantly engaging with others or staying up to date on everything, we will miss something important. But in reality, constantly chasing after every opinion or trend only leads to burnout. Letting go of this fear allows you to live more fully in the present and to focus on what truly brings you joy. Learning to ignore people also helps you prioritize your own happiness. When you stop trying to please everyone else, you can start focusing on what makes you happy. This shift in focus allows you to live a more fulfilling life, one that is based on your own values rather than the expectations of others. Another benefit of ignoring the noise is that it gives you more mental clarity. When you are constantly distracted by other people's opinions, it's hard to think clearly about your own goals and desires. By tuning out the unnecessary input, you free up mental space to focus on what truly matters. One of the greatest gifts you can give yourself is the ability to ignore negativity. There will always be people who criticize or judge you, but you don't have to let their negativity affect you. By learning to ignore it, you protect your peace and allow yourself to continue growing without being weighed down by others. In time, you will find that ignoring the unnecessary voices in your life leads to a greater sense of freedom. You are no longer bound by the expectations or judgments of others. You are free to live your life as you see fit, without the constant need to justify or explain yourself. Learning how to ignore people is not about becoming cold or distant. It's about protecting your energy and focusing on what truly matters. It's about creating a life that is guided by your own values, not by the shifting opinions of others. When you master this skill, you unlock a new level of peace and freedom that allows you to live with greater purpose and clarity. By ignoring what doesn't serve you, you open up space for what does. You become more focused, more resilient, and more connected to your true self. The noise of the world fades into the background, and you can finally hear your own voice clearly. As you move forward, remember that the power to ignore is not about shutting people out. It's about choosing who and what you allow into your life. It's about creating a life that is aligned with your values, your goals, and your vision for the future. The more you practice, the more natural it will become, and the more peace you will find along the way. Having learned how to block out the distractions that others impose on us, we come to one of the most valuable lessons, the management of our own time. After all, what is the point of ignoring the noise if we don't use the silence wisely? Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, understood deeply the value of time. He knew that time is the most precious resource we have, and yet so many of us squander it, treating it as though we have an endless supply. Time is irreplaceable, and the way we choose to spend it ultimately defines the quality of our lives. The ancient Stoics believed that every moment we waste is a moment lost forever. It cannot be regained, no matter how much wealth or power we may accumulate. Seneca urged us to treat time with respect, because it is the one thing that slips through our fingers more quickly than we realize. Time is fleeting, and it is only by mastering how we manage it that we can live a life that is purposeful and fulfilling. A key principle Seneca emphasizes is the importance of being mindful of how we spend each hour. It's easy to let days pass without reflection, moving from one task to the next without questioning whether our actions align with our true goals. Seneca's wisdom encourages us to regularly pause and evaluate. Are we spending our time on things that truly matter, or are we caught up in meaningless activities that add no real value to our lives? Mindful time management means being intentional with how we invest our hours. Procrastination is one of the greatest thieves of time. We delay what is difficult or uncomfortable, convincing ourselves that we'll have time to do it later. Seneca warns against this habit, reminding us that While we wait for life, life passes. The tasks we avoid today don't disappear. They only grow heavier as time goes on. To truly manage our time, we must confront procrastination head-on, tackling the hard tasks early instead of pushing them into an uncertain future. Seneca also teaches the importance of setting priorities. With so many demands on our time, it's easy to become overwhelmed by trying to do everything at once. But not all tasks are equally important. Effective time management requires us to distinguish between what is urgent and what is truly important. Often, the things that seem most pressing are not the things that will bring us lasting fulfillment. By focusing on what matters most, we ensure that our time is spent on meaningful pursuits rather than being consumed by trivialities. Another vital aspect of managing time well is learning how to say no. As we explored earlier, ignoring unnecessary distractions is crucial, but this extends to how we handle requests on our time. We are often asked to do things that do not align with our priorities, and in an effort to be kind or helpful, we agree. But every yes we give takes away time from something else. Seneca's advice is clear. We must be discerning with our time, and that often means declining requests that do not serve our greater purpose. Seneca also believed in the power of preparation. By taking the time to plan and organize, we can prevent much of the chaos and stress that comes from living reactively. When we fail to plan, we end up wasting time trying to figure out what to do next, often bouncing between tasks without real focus. But with preparation, each day begins with a clear sense of purpose and direction. It allows us to move through our tasks with intention, maximizing the time we have. Time management isn't just about productivity, it's about balance. Seneca reminds us that life is about more than work and achievements. He believed strongly in the importance of rest, reflection, and leisure. However, leisure in the Stoic sense is not about mindlessly passing the time, but engaging in activities that refresh the mind and soul. Taking time to reflect, to read, to connect with loved ones, these are not wasted moments. They are essential to living a well-rounded life. One of Seneca's most powerful teachings is that we should treat each day as if it could be our last. This is not about living in fear of death, but rather about making the most of each day we are given. So many people live as though they have all the time in the world, putting off their dreams and desires until someday. But Seneca urges us to recognize that someday is not guaranteed. By treating each day as a gift, we learn to appreciate the present and use our time with intention. Another critical insight from Seneca is the importance of focusing on the present moment. Time often slips away from us because we are either dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. But the past is gone and the future is uncertain. All we have is the now. When we focus our energy on the present, we make the most of the time we have, rather than letting it drift by unnoticed. This focus on the present is the key to living fully in each moment. Seneca also encourages us to be mindful of how much time we spend on things that do not serve us. Whether it's endless scrolling through social media, excessive worrying about things we cannot control, or overindulgence in entertainment, these activities can drain our time without offering anything of real value in return. Learning to recognize these time wasters and cut them out of our lives is essential to managing our time effectively. Another important aspect of time management is learning how to handle interruptions. Life is full of unexpected events that can throw us off course. While we cannot always control what happens to us, we can control how we respond. Seneca advises that we remain flexible and resilient in the face of interruptions, adapting to circumstances while still keeping our larger goals in mind. Flexibility allows us to handle life's disruptions without losing sight of what's important. Seneca believed in the power of reflection as a tool for managing time. By regularly reflecting on how we are spending our days, we can identify patterns and habits that may not be serving us. Reflection allows us to adjust our approach, ensuring that we are using our time wisely and making progress toward our goals. Without reflection, we risk falling into habits that waste our time and energy without us even realizing it. Another critical lesson from Seneca is the importance of self-discipline. Managing time effectively requires the ability to stay focused and committed, even when distractions and temptations arise. Self-discipline allows us to stick to our plans and resist the urge to veer off course. It's not always easy, but it's essential for achieving long-term success and fulfillment. Seneca's teachings remind us that discipline is the foundation of effective time management. Seneca also emphasizes the importance of taking responsibility for our time. Too often, we blame external factors for our lack of time, our jobs, our responsibilities, other people. But Seneca teaches that ultimately, we are in control of how we spend our time. While we may not have control over everything, we do have control over our choices and how we prioritize. Taking responsibility for our time means owning those choices and making the best use of the time we have. One of the most practical aspects of managing time is learning how to break tasks into smaller, manageable steps. Large tasks can feel overwhelming, leading to procrastination or avoidance. But when we break them down into smaller pieces, they become more approachable. Each small step moves us closer to completing the larger task, and this steady progress keeps us motivated. Seneca's wisdom teaches us that time management is not about doing everything at once, but about making consistent progress over time. A key element of time management is recognizing the importance of consistency. It's easy to be productive for a day or two, but true time management requires sustained effort over the long term. Consistency is what allows us to build momentum and make meaningful progress. By focusing on small, consistent actions each day, we can achieve more than we ever could by trying to do everything all at once. Another important lesson from Seneca is the value of focus. Multitasking may seem like a way to get more done, but in reality, it often leads to scattered attention and lower quality work. Seneca encourages us to focus on one task at a time, giving it our full attention. This focused approach not only allows us to complete tasks more efficiently, but also with greater satisfaction and mastery. Seneca's philosophy also reminds us that life is unpredictable, and no matter how well we plan, things will not always go according to schedule. Flexibility is key to managing time effectively in a world full of uncertainty. By being adaptable, we can adjust our plans without losing sight of our larger goals. Flexibility allows us to respond to life's challenges with grace, making the most of our time even when things don't go as expected. Another powerful lesson from Seneca is the importance of living with purpose. Time management isn't just about productivity for productivity's sake. It's about ensuring that our time is spent on things that align with our purpose and values. When we live with purpose, every moment becomes meaningful, and we are less likely to waste time on things that don't matter. Purpose gives direction to our time, ensuring that it is used wisely. Seneca also teaches us the importance of rest. While it's important to work hard and stay focused, rest is equally essential for managing time effectively. Without proper rest, we become less efficient and more prone to burnout. Seneca believed in the value of balancing effort with relaxation, knowing that rest allows us to recharge and return to our tasks with renewed energy and focus. Another critical insight from Seneca is the need to manage our expectations of time. Often, we set unrealistic expectations for what we can accomplish in a day. leading to frustration and disappointment when we fall short. By setting realistic goals and expectations, we can avoid the stress of overcommitting ourselves and instead focus on making steady, meaningful progress. Seneca's philosophy also encourages us to be proactive rather than reactive. Instead of waiting for things to happen to us, we should take the initiative to shape our own time and our own lives. Proactivity means planning ahead, anticipating challenges, and taking steps to manage our time before circumstances dictate how it is spent. This proactive approach allows us to stay in control of our time rather than being controlled by external forces. Time management is also about understanding that there are seasons in life. Seneca understood that not every moment is meant to be spent in intense productivity. There are times for work, times for rest, times for reflection, and times for play. Learning to flow with the natural rhythms of life allows us to use our time more effectively, balancing periods of intense focus with moments of relaxation and renewal. A key lesson from Seneca is the importance of gratitude. When we appreciate the time we have, we are more likely to use it wisely. Gratitude helps us recognize the value of each moment, making us less likely to waste time on trivial matters. By cultivating gratitude, we learn to see time as a gift, not something to be taken for granted. Seneca also reminds us that managing time effectively means making room for the things that bring us joy. Life is not just about achieving goals or fulfilling responsibilities. It's also about enjoying the journey. When we make time for joy, whether through hobbies, relationships, or simple pleasures, we enrich our lives and make the most of the time we have. One of the most profound lessons from Seneca is that time is a reflection of our priorities. The way we spend our time shows what we truly value. If we say we value family but never make time for them, our actions tell a different story. By aligning our time with our priorities, we live more authentically and create a life that reflects our true values. Seneca also teaches us to embrace simplicity. In a world that often values busyness, Seneca reminds us that a simple life is often the most fulfilling. By simplifying our schedules, our commitments, and our expectations, we create more space for what truly matters. Simplicity allows us to focus on the essentials, freeing us from the clutter and distractions that can consume our time. Another important aspect of time management is learning to delegate. We don't have to do everything ourselves. Seneca encourages us to recognize when it's appropriate to ask for help or delegate tasks to others. By doing so, we free up time and energy to focus on the things that only we can do, allowing us to make better use of our time. Seneca's philosophy also emphasizes the importance of self-care in managing time. When we take care of our physical and mental well-being, we are more productive and more focused. Self-care isn't a luxury, it's a necessity for managing time effectively. By making time for exercise, healthy eating, and mental relaxation, we ensure that we are operating at our best. Another powerful lesson from Seneca is the importance of starting now. Too often, we put off important tasks or goals, telling ourselves that we'll get to them later. But later never comes. Seneca urges us to start today, no matter how small the step. Every moment we delay is time lost, and the sooner we begin, the more progress we can make. Seneca also reminds us that time management isn't about being perfect. We will have days when we are less productive, when things don't go according to plan. The key is to not let those days derail us. By accepting that setbacks are part of the process, we can maintain our focus and keep moving forward, knowing that consistency is more important than perfection. Time management, according to Seneca, is ultimately about living a life of intention. When we manage our time well, we are not just filling our days with activity, we are living with purpose. Each moment becomes a step toward something greater, and our lives become a reflection of what truly matters to us. By mastering the art of time management, we master the art of living itself. As Seneca taught us, managing time effectively is about living with intention and focus. But once we master our time, we still face an even greater challenge: finding inner peace amidst the chaos of life. This brings us to the teachings of the Buddha, who offers us timeless wisdom on how to navigate the complexities of existence with clarity, compassion, and calm. The lessons of Buddhism are not about controlling the external world, but about transforming the internal one. They reveal that true peace and happiness come from within and are accessible to anyone willing to let go of attachment and embrace mindfulness. Buddha's teachings begin with the understanding that suffering is an inherent part of life. This may seem like a harsh reality, but accepting it is the first step toward liberation. Instead of running from pain or denying its existence, Buddhism teaches us to face suffering head-on. By acknowledging that pain, loss, and disappointment are inevitable, we can begin to approach life with more compassion and patience, both for ourselves and for others. This perspective frees us from the constant chase for perfection and the avoidance of discomfort, allowing us to experience life more fully. Central to Buddhism is the concept of mindfulness, which encourages us to live in the present moment. Too often, we spend our time dwelling on the past or worrying about the future, losing touch with the only moment we truly have, right now. Mindfulness is about fully experiencing each moment as it comes, without judgment or distraction. It's about paying attention to the small details of life, from the taste of our food to the feeling of the wind on our skin. This practice not only deepens our appreciation of life, but also helps us remain calm and grounded, even in stressful situations. Buddha also teaches the power of letting go. Much of our suffering, he explains, comes from attachment, whether it's to people, possessions, or outcomes. We hold on tightly to what we think we need, fearing that without it, we will be unhappy or incomplete. But true freedom comes from learning to release these attachments. Letting go doesn't mean we stop caring. It means we stop trying to control everything. It's about accepting that change is inevitable and that clinging to what we cannot keep only leads to more pain. Compassion is another core principle of Buddhism. Buddha believed that in order to live a peaceful and fulfilling life, we must cultivate compassion for all living beings. This includes not only those we love, but also those we may find difficult or different from ourselves. Compassion is about recognizing the shared humanity in everyone and approaching others with kindness and understanding. It's about seeing beyond our own needs and desires and understanding that everyone, in their own way, is struggling. When we live with compassion, we create more harmony and connection in the world. Another profound lesson from Buddha is the importance of self-awareness. Before we can change the world or improve our relationships, we must first look within. Self-awareness involves recognizing our own patterns of thought, emotion, and behavior. It's about understanding what drives us, what triggers us, and how we can break free from unhealthy cycles. Buddha teaches that by becoming more self-aware, we can gain greater control over our lives, rather than being controlled by unconscious habits and reactions. Equanimity is a key aspect of Buddha's wisdom. It refers to a state of mental calmness and balance, especially in difficult situations. Life is full of ups and downs, and Buddha teaches that the key to enduring these fluctuations is to remain steady, neither overly attached to success nor devastated by failure. Equanimity doesn't mean indifference. It means maintaining a sense of peace regardless of what life throws at us. By cultivating equanimity, we can navigate life's challenges with greater ease and resilience. Buddha also emphasizes the importance of non-attachment to outcomes. We often believe that our happiness depends on achieving certain goals or reaching specific milestones. But Buddha teaches that true happiness doesn't come from external achievements. It comes from within. By letting go of the need for things to turn out a certain way, we free ourselves from the anxiety and stress that come from trying to control the uncontrollable. Instead, we learn to trust the process and find joy in the journey, regardless of the outcome. Mindful speech is another important lesson from Buddha. The words we choose to speak can either create connection and understanding or division and conflict. Buddha encourages us to practice right speech, which means speaking with honesty, kindness, and purpose. It's about being mindful of the impact our words have on others and using language as a tool for compassion rather than harm. By practicing mindful speech, we can build stronger, more harmonious relationships. Buddha's teachings also highlight the importance of patience. In a world that often values speed and efficiency, patience can feel like a lost virtue. But Buddha reminds us that everything unfolds in its own time. Rushing through life only leads to stress and dissatisfaction. By practicing patience, we learn to embrace life's natural rhythms and trust that things will come together when the time is right. Patience allows us to approach challenges with calmness, knowing that even the most difficult situations will eventually pass. Another key teaching from Buddha is the practice of non-judgment. We often make snap judgments about people and situations based on our own biases and perceptions. But Buddha encourages us to let go of judgment and instead approach life with openness and curiosity. By releasing judgment, we create more space for understanding and empathy. This shift not only improves our relationships with others, but also allows us to live with a greater sense of peace and acceptance. One of the most transformative lessons from Buddha is the practice of gratitude. Gratitude is about recognizing the abundance in our lives rather than focusing on what we lack. It's about appreciating the small moments of joy, the beauty around us, and the kindness of others. By cultivating gratitude, we shift our focus away from dissatisfaction and towards contentment. Gratitude teaches us that happiness isn't about having more, it's about appreciating what we already have. Buddha also teaches us to be mindful of our thoughts. Our thoughts shape our reality, and often we allow negative or self-limiting beliefs to control our actions and emotions. Buddha encourages us to observe our thoughts without attachment, recognizing that they are temporary and not necessarily reflective of the truth. By gaining control over our thought patterns, we can cultivate a more positive and peaceful mindset. Another lesson from Buddha is the importance of humility. In a world that often encourages competition and comparison, humility can feel like a weakness. But Buddha teaches that true strength comes from recognizing our own limitations and approaching life with a sense of humility. It's about understanding that we are all interconnected and no one is superior or inferior to another. Humility allows us to approach life with an open heart, ready to learn from others and grow. Buddha's teachings also emphasize the importance of mindfulness in action. It's not enough to simply be aware of our thoughts and emotions. We must also be mindful of how we act in the world. Every action we take has consequences, both for ourselves and for others. By practicing mindful action, we ensure that our choices align with our values and contribute to the greater good. Another key lesson from Buddha is the value of simplicity. In a world that often glorifies material wealth and status, simplicity can feel like a radical choice. But Buddha teaches that true happiness comes not from accumulating more, but from needing less. Simplicity allows us to focus on what truly matters, freeing us from the constant desire for more. By living simply, we create more space for joy, peace, and connection. Buddha also encourages us to embrace impermanence. Everything in life is constantly changing, from our emotions to our circumstances. By accepting impermanence, we learn to let go of our attachment to the past and our fear of the future. This acceptance brings a deep sense of peace, as we realize that nothing is fixed and that every moment is an opportunity for growth and renewal. Another important teaching from Buddha is the practice of self-compassion. We are often our own harshest critics, holding ourselves to impossible standards and beating ourselves up for our mistakes. But Buddha teaches that self-compassion is essential for healing and growth. It's about treating ourselves with the same kindness and understanding that we would offer to a friend. By practicing self-compassion, we create a more supportive and nurturing relationship with ourselves. Buddha also emphasizes the importance of detaching from the ego. The ego is the part of us that seeks validation, approval, and superiority over others. But Buddha teaches that the ego is an illusion, and by letting go of it, we can live more authentically and peacefully. Detaching from the ego allows us to approach life with humility, compassion, and a sense of interconnectedness with all living beings. Another key lesson from Buddha is the practice of generosity. Generosity is not just about giving material possessions, it's about giving our time, attention, and compassion to others. Buddha teaches that generosity is a path to happiness, as it fosters connection and a sense of purpose. By practicing generosity, we create more harmony and goodwill in the world. Buddha also encourages us to cultivate inner stillness. In a world that is constantly demanding our attention, finding moments of stillness can feel challenging. But Buddha teaches that inner stillness is essential for clarity and peace. By taking time each day to quiet the mind, whether through meditation or simply sitting in silence, we create space for reflection and insight. Another important teaching from Buddha is the practice of forgiveness. Holding on to resentment and anger only prolongs our suffering. Buddha teaches that forgiveness is not about condoning harmful behavior. It's about releasing ourselves from the burden of anger and bitterness. By practicing forgiveness, we free ourselves from the past and open our hearts to healing and peace. Buddha's teachings also emphasize the importance of living with intention. Every action we take has an impact, both on ourselves and on others. By living with intention, we ensure that our actions align with our values and contribute to the greater good. This mindful approach to life allows us to live with greater purpose and fulfillment. Another key lesson from Buddha is the value of perseverance. Life is full of challenges, and it's easy to feel discouraged when things don't go as planned. But Buddha teaches that perseverance is essential for growth. By staying committed to our goals and values, even in the face of adversity, we develop resilience and inner strength. Buddha also encourages us to cultivate joy in the present moment. Too often, we wait for happiness to come from external circumstances, a promotion, a new relationship, or a material possession. But Buddha teaches that joy is available to us in every moment, if we are open to it. By practicing mindfulness and gratitude, we can find joy in the simple, everyday moments of life. Another important teaching from Buddha is the practice of right intention. Our intentions shape our actions and ultimately determine the course of our lives. Buddha teaches that we must align our intentions with compassion, kindness, and integrity. By setting the right intentions, we ensure that our actions are guided by love and wisdom. Buddha's teachings also emphasize the importance of community. While inner peace is something we cultivate within ourselves, it is also supported by the connections we build with others. Buddha teaches that we are all interconnected, and by fostering supportive, compassionate relationships, we create a more harmonious world. Another key lesson from Buddha is the practice of non-attachment to identity. We often define ourselves by our roles, achievements, and possessions. But Buddha teaches that these external markers are not who we truly are. By letting go of attachment to identity, we free ourselves from the pressure to constantly prove ourselves and instead live more authentically. Buddha also encourages us to practice contentment. In a world that constantly pushes us to strive for more, contentment can feel elusive. But Buddha teaches that true contentment comes from within. It's about appreciating what we have, rather than always seeking something more. By cultivating contentment, we create a deep sense of peace and fulfillment. Another important teaching from Buddha is the practice of non-violence. This applies not only to our actions, but also to our thoughts and words. Buddha teaches that true peace comes from living in harmony with others, and this requires a commitment to non-violence in all aspects of life. By practicing non-violence, we create a more compassionate and peaceful world. Buddha also emphasizes the importance of detaching from outcomes. While it's natural to have goals and aspirations, Buddha teaches that we should not become attached to specific outcomes. Instead, we should focus on doing our best in the present moment, trusting that the right outcomes will unfold. This detachment from outcomes allows us to live with greater peace and acceptance. Another key lesson from Buddha is the practice of loving kindness. This is about cultivating a sense of love and goodwill toward all beings, including ourselves. By practicing loving kindness, we create a more compassionate and harmonious world. This practice not only benefits others, but also brings us a deep sense of peace and joy. Buddha's teachings also highlight the importance of self-discipline. While it's important to live with compassion and kindness, Buddha also emphasizes the need for self-discipline in our thoughts, words, and actions. By practicing self-discipline, we ensure that we live in alignment with our values and create a life of integrity and purpose. Another key lesson from Buddha is the importance of balance. Life is full of extremes, and it's easy to become consumed by one aspect of life at the expense of others. Buddha teaches that true peace comes from finding balance, whether it's between work and rest, ambition and contentment, or discipline and compassion. By cultivating balance, we create a more harmonious and fulfilling life. Buddha also encourages us to embrace uncertainty. Life is unpredictable, and the desire for control can often lead to stress and anxiety. But Buddha teaches that by accepting the uncertainty of life, we can find peace in the present moment. This acceptance frees us from the need to control everything and allows us to live with greater ease and flow. Another important teaching from Buddha is the practice of non-resistance. We often resist the things we don't like, whether it's a difficult situation, a challenging emotion, or an unexpected change. But Buddha teaches that resistance only leads to more suffering. By practicing non-resistance, we learn to accept life as it is, rather than constantly fighting against it. This acceptance brings a deep sense of peace and freedom. Buddha's teachings also emphasize the importance of living with integrity. Integrity means living in alignment with our values and principles, even when it's difficult. By practicing integrity, we create a life of authenticity and purpose. This commitment to integrity not only benefits ourselves, but also inspires others to live with greater honesty and compassion. Another key lesson from Buddha is the importance of letting go of pride. Pride often leads to separation and conflict as we cling to our sense of superiority or rightness. But Buddha teaches that true peace comes from humility and openness. By letting go of pride, we create more space for connection, understanding, and compassion. Buddha also encourages us to practice mindfulness in relationships. Relationships are one of the most important aspects of life, and by practicing mindfulness, we can cultivate deeper, more meaningful connections. Mindfulness allows us to listen more fully, respond with greater compassion, and create relationships based on mutual respect and understanding. Another important teaching from Buddha is the practice of non-attachment to emotions. Emotions are a natural part of life, but when we become attached to them, we often get stuck in patterns of suffering. Buddha teaches that emotions are temporary and ever-changing. By practicing non-attachment to emotions, we learn to experience them without being controlled by them, allowing us to live with greater peace and clarity. Buddha's teachings remind us that the path to peace and happiness is an ongoing journey. There is no final destination, no point at which we have arrived. Instead, life is a continuous process of growth, learning, and transformation. By embracing this journey with an open heart and mind, we can live with greater purpose, compassion, and joy. As Buddha's teachings guide us toward inner peace and mindfulness, we now turn our attention to a discipline that sharpens not only the mind, but also the spirit, the cultivation of self-discipline. Miyamoto Musashi, the legendary Japanese swordsman, embodied self-discipline in every aspect of his life. His mastery over himself, forged through years of unwavering focus and commitment, offers invaluable lessons for anyone seeking to build strength from within. Self-discipline is not simply about willpower. It is about aligning every part of yourself with your higher purpose, remaining steadfast even when the path grows difficult. Musashi understood that true discipline begins with the mind. The first step in building self-discipline is cultivating mental clarity. Without clarity, our actions become scattered, driven by fleeting impulses or external pressures. Musashi emphasized the need for focus, knowing that a distracted mind cannot achieve greatness. To build self-discipline, we must first train our minds to focus on what truly matters, eliminating unnecessary thoughts and distractions that pull us away from our goals. Musashi also teaches that discipline is forged through consistency. It's not about grand gestures or short bursts of intense effort. It's about the small, steady actions we take every day. Discipline is a habit, built through repetition and sustained commitment. Each day we show up for ourselves. No matter how small the task, we strengthen our discipline. Over time, these small actions compound, creating a foundation of strength and resilience that can withstand any challenge. One of the most powerful lessons from Musashi is the importance of self-mastery. Self-discipline is, at its core, about mastering the self, controlling our impulses, desires, and emotions so that they do not control us. Musashi believed that a warrior who could not master himself could never master his opponent. The same is true in life. Before we can achieve external success, we must first conquer the internal battles. Building self-discipline requires us to face our own weaknesses head-on, to acknowledge where we fall short, and to commit to improvement. Musashi's philosophy also emphasizes the importance of embracing discomfort. Discipline is not built in moments of ease. It is forged in the fire of challenge. Musashi believed that avoiding discomfort weakens the spirit, making us more vulnerable to distraction and laziness. To build true self-discipline, we must learn to lean into discomfort, recognizing it as a necessary part of growth. Whether it's physical pain, mental strain, or emotional difficulty, discipline requires us to endure, knowing that the struggle will make us stronger. Another key principle in Musashi's teachings is the power of repetition. He spent countless hours practicing the same movements, honing his skills until they became second nature. This dedication to repetition is a cornerstone of self-discipline. It's not enough to try something once or twice and expect mastery. True discipline comes from doing the same thing over and over until it becomes a part of who we are. Whether it's a daily workout, meditation practice, or honing a craft, repetition is what transforms effort into excellence. Musashi also believed in the importance of solitude. In a world filled with distractions and noise, solitude offers the space to focus and reflect. Musashi spent long periods of time alone, not only practicing his swordsmanship, but also contemplating life's deeper questions. This solitude allowed him to cultivate a deep inner strength and clarity of purpose. For us, solitude can be a powerful tool in building self-discipline. It provides the time and space to reconnect with ourselves, to reflect on our progress, and to realign with our goals. Self-discipline, according to Musashi, is also about making clear decisions and committing to them fully. Indecision weakens resolve, making it harder to stay focused and disciplined. Musashi believed that once a decision is made, it must be followed through with unwavering commitment. This kind of clarity and decisiveness is essential for building self-discipline. When we waver in our decisions, we allow doubt and procrastination to creep in, undermining our efforts. Musashi's teachings also remind us of the importance of physical discipline. He understood that the mind and body are deeply connected, and that physical discipline strengthens mental discipline. Regular physical training not only builds the body's strength, but also sharpens the mind's focus and resilience. Musashi believed that a strong body supports a strong mind, and that physical discipline is an essential part of the warrior's path. For us, this might mean committing to a regular exercise routine, understanding that physical health supports mental clarity and strength. Musashi also highlights the importance of controlling one's environment. He believed that a disciplined life required an ordered environment. Clutter, both physical and mental, distracts from our focus and weakens our resolve. By creating a clean, organized space around us, we make it easier to stay disciplined. This principle extends beyond our physical surroundings to the people and influences we allow into our lives. Surrounding ourselves with positive, disciplined individuals helps reinforce our own commitment to self-discipline. Another powerful lesson from Musashi is the importance of patience. Self-discipline is not built overnight. It requires time, persistence, and the willingness to endure setbacks. Musashi understood that progress is often slow and that impatience only leads to frustration and burnout. True discipline comes from the ability to stay committed even when the results are not immediately visible. By cultivating patience, we allow ourselves the time needed to grow and improve without becoming discouraged. Musashi also teaches the value of balance. While discipline requires hard work and dedication, it also requires balance. Musashi believed in the importance of balancing intense focus with periods of rest and reflection. Just as a warrior must rest between battles, we must allow ourselves time to recharge. Pushing ourselves too hard without rest can lead to burnout and weaken our discipline in the long run. Finding balance between effort and recovery is essential for sustaining discipline over time. A key part of Musashi's philosophy is the importance of self-control. Self-discipline requires us to control our impulses, particularly the desire for immediate gratification. Musashi believed that the ability to delay gratification was a sign of strength and maturity. By resisting the temptation to take the easy path, we build the inner strength needed to stay disciplined in the face of challenges. Self-control is the foundation upon which all discipline is built. Musashi's teachings also emphasize the importance of purpose. Discipline without purpose is meaningless. Musashi's discipline was driven by his desire to master his craft and live according to his principles. For us, self-discipline must be tied to a higher purpose, whether it's personal growth, professional achievement, or spiritual fulfillment. When we have a clear sense of purpose, discipline becomes easier, as we are motivated by something greater than ourselves. Another critical lesson from Musashi is the importance of adaptability. While discipline requires commitment, it also requires flexibility. Musashi believed that rigid adherence to a plan could lead to failure if the circumstances changed. True discipline involves the ability to adapt to new challenges while remaining focused on the larger goal. This adaptability allows us to navigate obstacles without losing sight of our purpose. Musashi also highlights the importance of mental toughness. Discipline requires us to push through difficulties even when we feel like giving up. Musashi believed that mental toughness was built through repeated exposure to challenges. Each time we push through a difficult situation, we strengthen our resilience and our ability to stay disciplined. Mental toughness is not something we are born with. It is something we develop through consistent effort and perseverance. A key aspect of Musashi's philosophy is the importance of daily practice. Discipline is not something we cultivate once and then have forever. It must be maintained through daily effort. Musashi believed in the importance of daily training, knowing that each day's practice built upon the last. Whether it's physical training, meditation, or working toward a goal, daily practice is essential for maintaining and strengthening self-discipline. Musashi also teaches the importance of mastering the basics. He spent years perfecting the basic techniques of swordsmanship before moving on to more advanced skills. This emphasis on mastering the fundamentals is crucial for building self-discipline. Before we can achieve greatness in any area, we must first master the basics. Whether it's in our careers, personal development, or physical training, discipline requires a solid foundation built on consistent practice of the fundamentals. Musashi believed that self-discipline required a strong sense of personal responsibility. He took full ownership of his actions and their consequences, knowing that no one else could walk the path for him. This sense of responsibility is essential for building self-discipline. We must take full ownership of our goals and our actions, knowing that our success or failure is entirely in our hands. By embracing personal responsibility, we empower ourselves to stay disciplined and focused on our path. Musashi's teachings also emphasize the importance of detachment. Discipline requires us to remain detached from the outcome, focusing instead on the process. Musashi believed that attachment to success or failure weakened a warrior's resolve, making him more vulnerable to distraction and fear. By remaining detached from the outcome, we can stay focused on the present moment and the task at hand, without being swayed by fear of failure or desire for success. Musashi also highlights the importance of discipline in thought. He believed that a disciplined mind was one that could remain calm and focused, even in the face of chaos. To build self-discipline, we must learn to control our thoughts, resisting the urge to get caught up in worry, doubt, or fear. A disciplined mind is able to stay focused on the present, making clear and decisive choices without being influenced by external pressures. Another powerful lesson from Musashi is the importance of perseverance. Discipline is not about never failing. It's about continuing to move forward, even after failure. Musashi experienced many setbacks in his life, but he never let them deter him from his path. He believed that failure was simply a part of the learning process. True discipline requires us to persevere through failure, learning from our mistakes and using them as stepping stones to success. Musashi's teachings also remind us of the importance of humility. Self-discipline is not about arrogance or pride. It is about recognizing our limitations and striving to improve. Musashi believed that humility was essential for growth, as it allowed him to remain open to learning and improvement. By staying humble, we can continue to grow and strengthen our discipline without becoming complacent or overconfident. Another key lesson from Musashi is the value of mindfulness. Self-discipline requires us to be fully present in the moment, focused on the task at hand. Musashi believed that mindfulness was essential for maintaining focus and clarity in the midst of battle. For us, mindfulness allows us to stay present in our daily lives, ensuring that we are fully engaged in our efforts and not distracted by external or internal noise. Musashi's teachings also emphasize the importance of discipline in relationships. He believed that a disciplined warrior treated others with respect and honor, regardless of the circumstances. Self-discipline extends beyond our individual efforts. It is reflected in how we treat others. By cultivating discipline in our interactions, we build stronger, more respectful relationships, which in turn support our own personal growth and discipline. Musashi believed in the importance of simplicity. He lived a life of minimalism, believing that excess weakened the spirit and distracted from the true path. This focus on simplicity is essential for building self-discipline. By simplifying our lives, eliminating distractions, excess, and unnecessary commitments, we create more space for focused effort and discipline. Simplicity allows us to concentrate on what truly matters without being overwhelmed by the noise of modern life. Another important lesson from Musashi is the practice of reflection. Self-discipline requires us to regularly reflect on our progress, examining where we have succeeded and where we can improve. Musashi believed that self-reflection was essential for growth, as it allowed him to continuously refine his skills and approach. By regularly reflecting on our efforts, we can ensure that we are staying on the right path and making the necessary adjustments to strengthen our discipline. Musashi's teachings also remind us of the importance of courage in building self-discipline. Discipline often requires us to step outside of our comfort zone to face challenges and fears head-on. Musashi believed that courage was not the absence of fear, but the ability to act in spite of it. Building self-discipline requires us to develop the courage to take risks, to face failure, and to keep moving forward, even when the path is difficult. Musashi also highlights the importance of discipline in decision-making. He believed that a disciplined warrior made decisions quickly and confidently, without second-guessing or hesitation. This decisiveness is essential for building self-discipline. When we make decisions with clarity and confidence, we eliminate the mental clutter that comes from indecision and doubt. Clear, decisive action strengthens our discipline and keeps us moving forward on our path. Another key lesson from Musashi is the importance of practice in all areas of life. Discipline is not limited to one area, it extends to every part of our lives. Musashi believed that the principles of discipline he applied to his swordsmanship could be applied to every aspect of life, from relationships to personal growth. By practicing discipline in all areas of our lives, we create a more harmonious and balanced existence. Musashi's teachings also remind us of the importance of discipline in learning. He believed that a true warrior was always learning, always seeking to improve. Self-discipline requires us to remain open to learning, to constantly seek new knowledge and skills. This commitment to learning strengthens our discipline and ensures that we continue to grow and evolve. Another powerful lesson from Musashi is the importance of persistence. Discipline is not about achieving success quickly, it's about staying committed to the long-term goal. Musashi believed that true mastery took time and that persistence was the key to achieving greatness. By staying committed to our path, even when progress is slow, we strengthen our discipline and build the resilience needed for long-term success. Musashi also emphasizes the importance of discipline in action. He believed that a disciplined warrior did not simply think or plan, he took decisive action. Self-discipline requires us to move beyond thought and into action. It's not enough to have good intentions or plans. We must take consistent, focused action to achieve our goals. This commitment to action is what separates those who achieve their goals from those who merely dream of them. Musashi's teachings also remind us of the importance of discipline in our emotions. He believed that a disciplined warrior controlled his emotions, not allowing them to cloud his judgment or weaken his resolve. Self-discipline requires us to manage our emotions, particularly in moments of stress or difficulty. By maintaining emotional control, we can stay focused on our goals and avoid being derailed by temporary feelings of frustration or doubt. Musashi also teaches the importance of persistence in the face of failure. He believed that failure was an inevitable part of the path to success, and that true discipline required us to persevere through failure. When we experience setbacks, it's easy to become discouraged and give up. But Musashi teaches us that failure is simply an opportunity to learn and grow. By staying committed to our path, even in the face of failure, we strengthen our discipline and build the resilience needed to achieve our goals. Musashi's teachings also remind us of the importance of discipline in our daily habits. Self-discipline is built through the small, consistent actions we take every day. Whether it's a daily workout, meditation practice, or commitment to personal growth, these daily habits are the foundation of our discipline. By consistently practicing these habits, we build the inner strength and resilience needed to stay disciplined in the face of life's challenges. Another powerful lesson from Musashi is the importance of discipline in our thoughts. He believed that a disciplined warrior controlled his thoughts, not allowing them to be swayed by fear or doubt. Self-discipline requires us to manage our thoughts, particularly in moments of difficulty or uncertainty. By maintaining control over our thoughts, we can stay focused on our goals and avoid being derailed by negative thinking or self-doubt. Musashi also highlights the importance of discipline in relationships. He believed that a disciplined warrior treated others with respect and honor, regardless of the circumstances. Self-discipline extends beyond our individual efforts. It is reflected in how we treat others. By cultivating discipline in our interactions, we build stronger, more respectful relationships, which in turn support our own personal growth and discipline. Musashi's teachings remind us that self-discipline is an ongoing process. It's not something we achieve once and then forget about. It requires constant effort and attention. Discipline is like a muscle that must be exercised regularly to stay strong. By committing to the ongoing practice of self-discipline, we ensure that we continue to grow and evolve, no matter what challenges life may bring. Having explored the disciplined approach of Musashi, we now turn to a more reflective practice that connects deeply with the rhythm of daily life, the evening routine. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, understood the importance of using each part of the day intentionally, and he viewed the evening as a critical time for reflection and renewal. The moments before sleep offer us the chance to align our thoughts, cleanse the mind, and set ourselves on the path for the day to come. These quiet hours serve as a bridge between our daily actions and our deeper, more reflective selves. Let us now delve into how Marcus Aurelius used his evenings, a time to review, renew, and grow, and how these practices can change the way we live. The first and most essential step in any evening is reflection. Marcus Aurelius believed that self-reflection was not only a tool for improvement, but a necessary part of life. He would review his day with honesty, asking himself how he had conducted his thoughts and actions. Was he virtuous? Was he patient in the face of difficulty? This type of introspection isn't about judgment or self-criticism, it's about understanding. By reflecting on the day's events, we can uncover where we faltered and where we succeeded, and use this understanding to better ourselves. Reflection helps us stay grounded and prepares us to meet tomorrow's challenges with greater wisdom. Another practice rooted in the teachings of Marcus Aurelius is gratitude. At the end of each day, he would reflect on the things he was grateful for, even in the smallest moments. This Stoic gratitude is not simply about listing things, but deeply appreciating them, acknowledging how fortune, people, or events contributed to his life. By cultivating gratitude, we shift our perspective from what we lack to what we have, reinforcing a mindset of abundance. This practice helps calm the mind and fosters a sense of peace before sleep. It allows us to end the day with a sense of completeness and fulfillment, rather than worry or dissatisfaction. A key part of Marcus Aurelius's evening routine involved letting go of the day's burdens. He believed that carrying the weight of the day's struggles into the night only disrupted inner peace. Before sleep, it is essential to release the emotions, frustrations, or conflicts that arose during the day. Marcus understood that holding on to negative emotions only drains energy and clarity. Letting go of these burdens before bed enables the mind to rest more fully, without the clutter of unresolved tensions. This clearing of mental space is essential for maintaining a balanced life, as it prevents the past from bleeding into the future. Another element of Marcus Aurelius's evening routine was detaching from outcomes. He reminded himself that while we can control our actions, we cannot control the results. This detachment from outcome freed him from the anxiety of whether his day had gone well or gone badly. At the close of each day, we should remind ourselves that we did what we could with what was in our power. Whatever did not go as planned is simply life unfolding. By releasing the need for perfection and focusing instead on effort, we foster a sense of calm and acceptance. This mindset prepares us for a restful night, knowing that the day is done and that we are ready to face whatever tomorrow brings. An important Stoic practice is preparing for adversity. Marcus Aurelius believed that every day would bring its own set of challenges, and the evening was the time to prepare mentally for this inevitability. Instead of dreading difficulties, he accepted them as part of life's flow. In the evening, as the day winds down, it's valuable to reflect on how we can approach tomorrow's challenges with greater resilience and strength. This isn't about fearing what's to come, but rather building a mental readiness to face obstacles with equanimity. Preparing for adversity ensures that we are not caught off guard and that we have the strength to navigate life's twists and turns with poise. Another important practice is reviewing our relationships. Marcus Aurelius emphasized the importance of examining how we interact with others. Were we patient, kind, or understanding? Did we allow anger or frustration to cloud our relationships? The evening offers a quiet moment to reflect on these interactions. Building strong relationships is one of the pillars of a meaningful life, and by reviewing how we've treated others, we can improve our connections and resolve any lingering tensions. This nightly review helps us better understand the impact of our words and actions, allowing us to approach relationships with greater mindfulness and care. Marcus Aurelius also valued the practice of setting intentions for the next day. The evening is an ideal time to plan the following day with clarity and purpose. This isn't about rigid scheduling, but setting a mental framework for how we wish to conduct ourselves. What virtues will we embody? What challenges are we prepared to face with calmness and resolve? Setting these intentions helps us wake up with a clear sense of direction, allowing us to approach the day proactively rather than reactively. This practice keeps us aligned with our goals and values, ensuring that each day contributes meaningfully to our overall growth. The evening is also a time for reconnecting with nature and understanding our place within the larger universe. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the natural order of things, reminding himself that he was just one small part of a much larger whole. This perspective instills a sense of humility and peace. By contemplating the vastness of the world and the insignificance of our daily troubles in the grand scheme of things, we can let go of trivial concerns and find a deeper sense of calm. Reconnecting with the universe reminds us that life's challenges are fleeting, and it helps put our worries into perspective. A key aspect of Marcus Aurelius's philosophy is cultivating inner calm. The evening is a perfect time to focus on this, using techniques such as deep breathing or quiet meditation to center the mind. By engaging in simple, calming practices, we prepare our bodies and minds for rest. This tranquility allows us to transition smoothly from the activity of the day into the stillness of night, giving our minds the space they need to recharge. Inner calm is the foundation for a restful night, and Marcus Aurelius believed that this practice was essential for maintaining mental clarity and emotional balance. Another important practice Marcus Aurelius embraced was learning from the past without being consumed by it. The evening reflection allows us to look at our mistakes and missteps, not with regret, but with the intent to learn. By reviewing what we could have done better, we cultivate wisdom and ensure that we don't repeat the same mistakes. This process of continuous self-improvement is essential for personal growth. However, the key is to do this without self-criticism. Instead, we approach our past with compassion and a commitment to doing better tomorrow, always learning and evolving. Marcus Aurelius also believed in the power of detachment from material concerns. In the quiet hours of the evening, we have an opportunity to remind ourselves that true contentment doesn't come from external possessions, but from within. By reflecting on this truth, we can reduce our attachment to material things and focus more on what brings lasting happiness, virtue, relationships, and inner peace. This detachment helps us avoid the endless pursuit of external validation and wealth, allowing us to rest with a clear conscience and a sense of fulfillment that isn't dependent on external circumstances. A powerful practice Marcus Aurelius used was reminding himself of his mortality. Far from being morbid, this reflection helps us appreciate the preciousness of life. The evening, before sleep, is an ideal time to remind ourselves that each day is a gift. By reflecting on the impermanence of life, we foster a deeper appreciation for the moments we have and are encouraged to live more fully. This awareness of mortality helps us prioritize what truly matters and prevents us from getting lost in trivial concerns. It's a practice that deepens our gratitude and sharpens our focus on living with purpose. Marcus Aurelius often spoke of aligning his actions with nature. In the evening, reflecting on how our actions aligned with the natural order and the common good brings a sense of clarity. Did we contribute to the harmony of the world today? Did we live according to our principles? This reflection allows us to adjust our course where necessary, ensuring that we live in harmony with ourselves and others. It reminds us that our actions ripple out into the world and that living in alignment with nature and virtue brings a deeper sense of fulfillment and peace. The evening is also a time for physical care, according to Stoic principles. Marcus Aurelius recognized the importance of caring for the body, not out of vanity, but out of respect for the vessel that carries the mind. A simple evening routine of stretching, light exercise, or relaxation helps release tension built up during the day. Physical care is a form of self-discipline that supports mental clarity and emotional balance. Taking care of the body in the evening ensures that we wake up refreshed and ready for the day ahead, reinforcing the connection between physical and mental well-being. An essential aspect of Stoic practice, emphasized by Marcus Aurelius, is avoiding the distractions that pull us away from our true path. The evening is a time to turn off the noise, whether from technology, unnecessary conversations, or lingering thoughts that lead us astray. By creating an environment of quiet and stillness, we allow our minds to rest and reset. This avoidance of distractions is crucial for maintaining focus and clarity, especially in a world that constantly demands our attention. The evening becomes a sanctuary for the mind, free from the clutter that often fills our days. Marcus Aurelius also emphasized the importance of aligning with reason. The evening reflection allows us to ask, were we guided by reason today, or were we swayed by emotions and impulses? Reason is the Stoic's compass, helping navigate through life's uncertainties. By reflecting on how well we adhered to rational thought throughout the day, we can adjust our approach and strengthen our commitment to living with wisdom. This alignment with reason is key to maintaining a sense of inner peace and purpose, as it allows us to respond to life's challenges with clarity rather than confusion. A practice that Marcus Aurelius often engaged in was reconnecting with the core Stoic values of courage, justice, temperance, and wisdom. The evening is an ideal time to reflect on how we embodied these virtues throughout the day. Did we act with courage in the face of fear? Were we fair and just in our dealings with others? Did we practice self-control and moderation in our actions? This reflection helps us stay grounded in the values that define who we are and reminds us to carry these virtues into the following day with even greater strength. Another practice that Marcus Aurelius valued was forgiveness. Before sleep, he would ensure that no grudges or unresolved conflicts lingered in his heart. He knew that holding on to anger or resentment only harmed his own peace of mind. By forgiving others, we release ourselves from the burden of bitterness and open ourselves to a restful, peaceful night. Forgiveness is not about excusing bad behavior. It's about freeing ourselves from the negative emotions that keep us tied to the past. This practice clears the mind and soul, allowing us to sleep with a light heart. Marcus Aurelius also believed in the power of humility. In the evening, as we reflect on the day, it's important to recognize that we are not perfect, nor are we meant to be. Humility allows us to accept our flaws without being defeated by them. It's through humility that we continue to grow, recognizing that there is always more to learn and more room for improvement. This acknowledgement fosters a sense of peace, as we realize that our value does not come from perfection, but from our willingness to strive toward virtue, no matter how many times we fall short. A key component of Marcus Aurelius's evening routine was setting aside time for personal growth. Whether through reading or quiet contemplation, he believed that the evening was a perfect time to feed the mind with wisdom. By engaging with meaningful texts or meditative thought, we ensure that we end the day by expanding our knowledge and deepening our understanding of the world. This commitment to personal growth helps us wake up each day a little wiser and more prepared to face life's challenges. It's a practice that keeps the mind sharp and the soul curious. Marcus Aurelius also taught the value of detachment from praise and criticism. In the evening, as we reflect on the day, it's important to recognize that neither praise nor blame defines who we are. Both are external judgments that often reflect more about the other person than about us. By detaching from these judgments, we free ourselves from the need for validation and the fear of criticism. This detachment allows us to live more authentically, guided by our own principles rather than the opinions of others. It's a practice that brings a deep sense of inner peace and self-assurance. An essential part of the Stoic evening routine is acknowledging the transitory nature of all things. Marcus Aurelius believed that everything in life is temporary, from our joys to our sorrows. The evening is a time to reflect on this truth, reminding ourselves that whatever difficulties we face today will pass, just as the good moments will. This understanding helps us maintain perspective, knowing that life is a continuous cycle of change. By embracing this truth, we can let go of attachments and approach life with greater ease and acceptance. Another aspect of the evening routine is preparing for a restful night of sleep. Marcus Aurelius understood the value of good rest, not only for physical recovery, but also for mental clarity. Preparing the mind for sleep is just as important as preparing the body. By calming the mind through reflection, gratitude, and letting go of the day's burdens, we ensure that we enter sleep with peace. This preparation not only improves the quality of our sleep, but also allows us to wake up feeling more refreshed and ready to meet the new day with strength and purpose. Marcus Aurelius emphasized the importance of embracing the unknown. As we end the day, we must recognize that we do not know what tomorrow will bring. This acceptance of uncertainty is at the heart of Stoic wisdom. Rather than fearing the unknown, we learn to approach it with openness and courage. The evening reflection allows us to release our expectations for the future, trusting that we will meet whatever comes with the wisdom and strength we've cultivated. This mindset frees us from worry and allows us to rest in the peace of the present moment, knowing that we are prepared for whatever lies ahead. As we have explored the evening reflections of Marcus Aurelius and how they shape the calm of the mind, we now venture into a deeper exploration of the self. Carl Jung's philosophy speaks to something profoundly universal, the desire to unlock our true potential. Jung believed that self-realization was not just about what we do in the world, but about who we are at our core. He encouraged us to face the unknown within, to integrate the parts of ourselves we often neglect or reject, and to awaken to our fullest potential. The journey to realizing our true potential is an inward one, yet its effects ripple outward, transforming how we engage with the world around us. Jung viewed the process of self-realization as one of individuation, a journey toward becoming the most authentic version of oneself. This is not a passive act, but an active engagement with the parts of ourselves that we may have hidden, repressed, or overlooked. To reach our potential, we must first understand who we are beneath the layers of societal expectations and conditioned beliefs. This means confronting our shadow, the parts of ourselves we don't want to see. By embracing both the light and dark aspects of our nature, we can begin to experience wholeness, which is key to unlocking our true potential. Central to Jung's philosophy is the idea that each of us has a unique path in life, what he called the individuation process. To realize our true potential, we must walk this path with courage and curiosity. It is not a path defined by external success or validation, but by inner fulfillment. This journey requires a deep understanding of the self, a willingness to explore our unconscious mind, and the ability to integrate its wisdom into our conscious lives. By engaging in this process, we become more aligned with our true purpose and more capable of expressing our unique gifts to the world. One of the most powerful tools Jung offered for self-realization is the concept of the shadow. The shadow represents the aspects of ourselves that we have denied or repressed, often because they conflict with the image we want to present to the world. However, by ignoring these parts of ourselves, we limit our potential. Jung taught that the integration of the shadow is essential for growth. To reach our full potential, we must not only acknowledge our shadow, but also learn to work with it. This process allows us to reclaim the energy we have spent suppressing these aspects of ourselves and redirect it toward more creative and fulfilling endeavors. A critical element in Jungian philosophy is the role of the unconscious mind. Jung believed that the unconscious is a vast reservoir of wisdom and insight, containing the keys to our growth and self-understanding. By tapping into this deeper part of ourselves, we can uncover hidden strengths, desires, and motivations that may have been overlooked. This connection with the unconscious is often facilitated through dreams, symbols, and active imagination. These tools help bridge the gap between our conscious awareness and the deeper layers of our psyche, providing valuable guidance on our journey towards self-realization. Jung also emphasized the importance of facing our fears. He believed that the things we fear most are often the very things we need to confront in order to grow. Fear is a natural part of the human experience, but it can also be a barrier to reaching our potential. Jung encouraged us to explore our fears, not to conquer them in the traditional sense, but to understand what lies beneath them. Often, our fears are connected to deeper insecurities or unresolved aspects of the self. By confronting them, we can break free from the limitations they impose and move forward with greater clarity and strength. Another key aspect of Jung's philosophy is the idea of the persona, the mask we wear to navigate the world. While the persona helps us interact with others and fit into society, it can also become a prison if we mistake it for our true self. Realizing our potential requires us to look beyond the persona and connect with our authentic self. This process involves shedding the roles and expectations that have been imposed on us by society, family, or even ourselves. By doing so, we can discover who we truly are, free from external pressures, and begin to live a life that is aligned with our deepest values and desires. Jung believed that our true potential is deeply connected to our ability to embrace paradox. Life is full of contradictions, and often our greatest strengths can also be our greatest weaknesses. To realize our potential, we must learn to hold these paradoxes without trying to resolve them. This requires a flexible mind and an open heart. Instead of seeing things in black and white terms, we begin to recognize the complexity of life and the richness that comes from embracing both sides of a paradox. This ability to hold tension and live with ambiguity is a sign of psychological maturity and is essential for personal growth. An essential part of realizing our potential, according to Jung, is the process of integration. Integration is the bringing together of different parts of ourselves, our conscious mind, unconscious desires, shadow aspects, and higher ideals, into a unified whole. It is through this integration that we become more complete, more balanced, and more capable of fulfilling our potential. This process is ongoing and requires a continual willingness to explore and understand ourselves at deeper and deeper levels. Integration allows us to move through life with greater confidence, resilience, and a sense of inner harmony. Jung also spoke of the importance of relationships in the process of self-realization. While the journey toward realizing our potential is deeply personal, it is not one that can be taken in isolation. Our interactions with others serve as mirrors, reflecting back to us the parts of ourselves that we may not yet fully understand. Relationships, whether with friends, family, or romantic partners, provide us with opportunities to grow, to confront our shadows, and to develop greater self-awareness. Through these connections, we learn more about ourselves and are challenged to become the best version of who we are. Jung believed that creativity is a powerful avenue for realizing our potential. Creative expression allows us to connect with the deeper layers of our psyche and bring unconscious material to the surface. Whether through art, writing, music, or any other form of creative activity, we can explore and express parts of ourselves that may not be accessible through logic or reason. Creativity is not just about producing something beautiful or impressive. It is about engaging with the process of creation itself, which opens up new possibilities for growth and self-discovery. Through creativity, we tap into the infinite potential within us and bring it into the world. A key concept in Jung's work is the idea of the self, the totality of who we are, both conscious and unconscious. The self represents the realization of our true potential, the harmonious integration of all aspects of our being. To achieve this level of self-awareness requires a deep commitment to inner work. It involves continually seeking to understand ourselves, integrating our experiences, and evolving beyond our limitations. The process of becoming the self is not about perfection, but about wholeness. It's about embracing all parts of who we are, even the parts we may not fully understand or appreciate. Jung also emphasized the importance of meaning in life. He believed that one of the most significant factors in realizing our potential is finding and living out our sense of purpose. Without a sense of meaning, we can feel adrift, unsure of our direction or place in the world. To realize our potential, we must actively seek out what gives our life meaning, whether that comes from relationships, work, creative pursuits, or spiritual practice. This search for meaning is deeply personal and often requires us to look beyond the material world to find deeper, more enduring sources of fulfillment. Another critical aspect of Jung's philosophy is the idea that we must confront our own darkness to realize our true potential. This process, known as shadow work, involves acknowledging the parts of ourselves that we find uncomfortable, unacceptable, or even shameful. By bringing these aspects of ourselves into the light, we can begin to heal and integrate them. The more we avoid or deny our shadow, the more power it has over us. But by embracing it, we reclaim the energy we have spent suppressing it and can channel that energy into more constructive and fulfilling pursuits. Jung also taught that the process of realizing our potential requires us to be open to the unknown. The unconscious mind is vast and mysterious, and to reach our full potential, we must be willing to explore it. This often involves stepping into unfamiliar territory, confronting fears, and embracing uncertainty. The unknown can be frightening, but it is also where the greatest opportunities for growth and transformation lie. By developing a sense of curiosity and openness toward the unknown, we can unlock new dimensions of ourselves and discover potential we never knew existed. Jung placed great importance on the role of symbols and archetypes in the process of self-realization. Archetypes are universal patterns and symbols that reside in the collective unconscious and represent fundamental human experiences. By engaging with these archetypes, whether through dreams, myths, or art, we can gain insight into our deeper selves. Archetypes act as guides on our journey towards self-realization, helping us navigate the complexities of life and uncovering aspects of our potential that we may not be consciously aware of. Engaging with archetypes allows us to tap into the collective wisdom of humanity and integrate it into our personal journey. Jung also spoke of the importance of embracing our imperfections. To realize our true potential, we must accept that we are not perfect, nor are we meant to be. Perfection is an illusion that often holds us back from embracing our full humanity. By accepting our flaws, we can move beyond the fear of failure or judgment and begin to live more authentically. This acceptance of imperfection opens the door to deeper self-compassion and allows us to grow in ways that are more aligned with our true selves. Realizing our potential is not about becoming flawless, but about becoming whole. Jung believed that true growth often comes through suffering and hardship. While these experiences are painful, they also have the potential to catalyze profound transformation. Jung taught that it is often through our darkest moments that we find our greatest strength. By facing adversity with courage and resilience, we discover new depths within ourselves and tap into potential we didn't know we had. The process of realizing our potential is not always easy, but it is through these challenges that we evolve and become more of who we are meant to be. Another important aspect of Jung's philosophy is the need for balance. He believed that to reach our full potential, we must balance the different aspects of ourselves, our intellect and emotions, our conscious and unconscious, our masculine and feminine energies. When we become too focused on one aspect of ourselves to the exclusion of others, we become imbalanced, and this can hinder our growth. To realize our potential, we must cultivate harmony between these different aspects of our being, allowing them to work together in a complementary way. Jung also emphasized the importance of spiritual growth in realizing our potential. While this does not necessarily mean following a particular religion, it does involve a connection to something greater than ourselves. Whether through meditation, contemplation, or a deep connection to nature, spiritual practice helps us tap into the deeper layers of our psyche and connect with the transcendent aspects of life. This connection to the spiritual dimension provides us with a sense of meaning and purpose, helping us navigate the challenges of life with greater wisdom and inner peace. A key lesson from Jung is the importance of facing uncertainty with courage. The path to realizing our potential is often uncertain, and it requires us to step into the unknown. This can be frightening, but Jung believed that it is through embracing uncertainty that we discover our true strength. By cultivating the courage to face the unknown, we develop resilience and inner fortitude, allowing us to grow beyond our limitations and move closer to our true potential. Jung also taught that realizing our potential requires us to move beyond societal expectations and live authentically. Too often, we are conditioned to follow the paths that others have laid out for us, whether those are the expectations of our family, society, or culture. But Jung believed that each person's path is unique, and that to reach our full potential, we must have the courage to follow our own path, even if it diverges from what is expected. This requires a deep commitment to self-awareness and a willingness to challenge the norms and beliefs that may have shaped us. Another essential aspect of Jung's philosophy is the role of intuition in realizing our potential. While logic and reason are important, Jung believed that intuition, the ability to understand something instinctively without the need for conscious reasoning, plays a critical role in our growth. By listening to our inner voice and trusting our instincts, we can make decisions that are more aligned with our true selves. Intuition helps guide us through the complexities of life, providing us with insights that may not be immediately apparent through rational thought alone. Jung also believed in the importance of self-love in the process of self-realization. To reach our true potential, we must first learn to love and accept ourselves as we are. This involves embracing both our strengths and weaknesses and treating ourselves with compassion and kindness. Self-love is not about ego or self-indulgence, but about recognizing our inherent worth and treating ourselves with the respect and care we deserve. When we love ourselves, we create the conditions for growth and expansion, allowing us to step into our true potential with confidence and grace. Jung's philosophy also emphasizes the importance of patience in the process of self-realization. Reaching our full potential does not happen overnight. It is a gradual and ongoing journey that requires time, dedication, and perseverance. Jung believed that true growth happens in stages, and we must be patient with ourselves as we evolve. There will be times of rapid progress and times of stagnation, but both are necessary parts of the process. By cultivating patience, we allow ourselves the space to grow at our own pace, without forcing or rushing the process. Another key lesson from Jung is the importance of embracing our individuality. Each person is unique, with their own talents, strengths, and gifts. To realize our potential, we must honor this individuality and resist the urge to compare ourselves to others. Jung believed that the process of individuation, becoming who we truly are, requires us to embrace our uniqueness and follow our own path. This involves trusting ourselves and our inner guidance, even when it leads us in directions that may differ from those around us. Jung also taught the importance of integrating opposites within ourselves. Life is full of dualities, light and dark, joy and sorrow, strength and vulnerability. To realize our potential, we must learn to embrace and integrate these opposites rather than trying to deny or suppress one side. This integration creates a sense of wholeness, allowing us to live in harmony with ourselves and the world around us. By accepting the full range of human experience, we tap into a deeper well of wisdom and potential. Another critical aspect of Jung's philosophy is the idea of the collective unconscious. Jung believed that we are all connected through a shared unconscious, a reservoir of knowledge and wisdom that transcends individual experience. By tapping into the collective unconscious, we can access deeper truths about ourselves and the world. This connection to the collective allows us to move beyond our individual limitations and realize our potential on a broader, more universal level. Jung also emphasized the importance of facing our inner conflicts. The process of self-realization often involves confronting the tensions and contradictions within ourselves. These inner conflicts can be uncomfortable, but Jung believed that they are necessary for growth. By acknowledging and working through these conflicts, we create the conditions for greater self-awareness and integration. This process allows us to move closer to our true potential as we learn to navigate the complexities of our inner world with greater skill and understanding. A key lesson from Jung is the importance of embracing the unknown. The journey to realizing our potential is often filled with uncertainty and unpredictability, but Jung believed that it is in these moments of not knowing that we discover our true strength. By cultivating a sense of curiosity and openness toward the unknown, we allow ourselves to grow in ways we never imagined. This willingness to step into the unknown is a critical part of the process of self-realization, as it opens us up to new possibilities and opportunities for growth. Jung also believed that the process of realizing our potential involves embracing our inner child. The inner child represents the part of ourselves that is playful, creative, and curious. Too often, as we grow older, we lose touch with this aspect of ourselves, becoming overly serious or focused on external responsibilities. Jung taught that reconnecting with our inner child is essential for growth, as it allows us to tap into a deeper sense of joy, wonder, and creativity. By embracing this playful, curious part of ourselves, we unlock new dimensions of our potential and bring more balance and vitality into our lives. Another important aspect of Jung's philosophy is the idea that we must constantly evolve. Realizing our potential is not a one-time event, but an ongoing process of growth and transformation. Jung believed that we are always becoming, always moving toward a deeper understanding of ourselves and our place in the world. This process requires us to remain open to change, to continually seek out new experiences and challenges, and to be willing to let go of old identities and beliefs that no longer serve us. Jung also emphasized the importance of living with integrity. To realize our potential, we must live in alignment with our values and principles, even when it is difficult. Integrity involves being honest with ourselves and others, staying true to our beliefs, and acting in ways that reflect our deepest truths. By living with integrity, we create a foundation of trust and respect, both for ourselves and for those around us. This commitment to authenticity and honesty is essential for reaching our full potential. A final lesson from Jung is the importance of cultivating self-awareness. The journey to realizing our potential requires us to continually deepen our understanding of ourselves. This involves paying attention to our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, and being willing to question and explore them. Self-awareness is the key to growth, as it allows us to see where we are stuck, where we need to change, and where we are already thriving. By cultivating self-awareness, we gain the tools we need to navigate the complexities of life with wisdom and grace, ultimately allowing us to step into our true potential. Having delved into Jung's profound teachings on self-awareness and realizing your true potential, we now turn to another essential aspect of mastering oneself: controlling anger. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, provides us with timeless insights into taming this powerful emotion that can often disrupt our lives and relationships. Anger, when left unchecked, can lead to destruction, both internally and externally. Seneca understood this well and taught that true strength comes not from letting anger fuel our actions, but from mastering it. Anger, though fierce, can be channeled into something more productive and controlled. Let's explore how Seneca's Stoic wisdom can guide us to gain control over this volatile emotion. Seneca believed that the first step in controlling anger is awareness. Anger often arises suddenly, but it is rarely without warning signs. By becoming more aware of our emotional triggers and recognizing the early signs of anger, whether it's frustration, irritation, or impatience, we can begin to take control before it escalates. This awareness acts as a protective shield, helping us catch the emotion before it consumes us. The more attuned we are to our internal state, the easier it becomes to diffuse anger before it takes hold. A key element in Seneca's teachings is the idea that anger is a choice. While it may not feel like it in the moment, anger is not something that happens to us. It is something we allow. We cannot always control the events that trigger our anger, but we can control how we respond to those events. Seneca reminds us that we have the power to choose how we react. By realizing that anger is not an inevitable response, but a decision we make, we regain control over our emotions. Another essential part of controlling anger, according to Seneca, is understanding its irrational nature. Anger distorts our perception, making small problems seem larger than they are. It clouds our judgment, leading us to act in ways that we may later regret. By recognizing that anger is often based on a misunderstanding or an exaggerated sense of injustice, we can begin to let go of it. Seneca teaches that when we see anger for what it truly is, a fleeting and irrational emotion, we are less likely to be controlled by it. Seneca also emphasized the importance of patience in managing anger. Patience is the antidote to anger, allowing us to slow down and reflect before reacting. When we cultivate patience, we create a buffer between the stimulus and our response, giving ourselves time to think more clearly. In moments of anger, the impulse is often to act immediately, but Seneca advises us to wait, to allow the emotion to settle before making any decisions. This delay helps prevent the rash actions that anger often provokes. One of the most powerful tools Seneca offers for controlling anger is perspective. Anger thrives when we take things personally, when we believe that we have been wronged or treated unfairly. But Seneca encourages us to step back and see the bigger picture. Often, the things that anger us are trivial in the grand scheme of life. By widening our perspective and recognizing the insignificance of many of our frustrations, we can diminish the power of anger. This shift in perspective allows us to respond with calm and reason rather than rage. Seneca also reminds us of the importance of compassion in dealing with anger. When someone else's actions trigger our anger, it's easy to assume malice or ill intent. But often, the actions of others are driven by their own struggles, insecurities, or misunderstandings. By cultivating compassion and seeking to understand the motivations behind someone's behavior, we can soften our own anger. Seneca teaches that by viewing others with empathy rather than judgment, we are more likely to respond with patience and kindness instead of anger. A significant part of controlling anger, according to Seneca, is learning to lower our expectations. Much of our anger stems from unrealistic or overly rigid expectations of others or ourselves. When reality does not meet these expectations, anger arises. Seneca encourages us to accept that people are flawed, that mistakes happen, and that life is often unpredictable. By adjusting our expectations to be more in line with reality, we reduce the opportunities for anger to take root. This acceptance allows us to navigate life's challenges with greater ease and less frustration. Another practical strategy Seneca offers is the practice of forgiveness. Holding on to anger only prolongs our suffering and keeps us trapped in negative emotions. Forgiveness is not about excusing bad behavior, but about freeing ourselves from the burden of anger. Seneca believed that by forgiving others, we release ourselves from the toxic grip of resentment. This act of letting go not only heals our relationships, but also brings us inner peace, allowing us to move forward without the weight of anger dragging us down. Seneca also emphasizes the importance of self-discipline in managing anger. Controlling anger requires us to exercise restraint, even when we feel justified in our rage. Self-discipline is the ability to govern our emotions and reactions, to act in accordance with our values rather than being ruled by fleeting emotions. By practicing self-discipline, we build the strength to remain calm and composed even in situations that would normally provoke anger. This control over our emotions not only improves our interactions with others, but also deepens our sense of inner stability. A fundamental part of controlling anger, according to Seneca, is learning to let go of control. Anger often arises when we feel that things are not going the way we want them to, when events or people don't meet our expectations. But Seneca teaches that much of life is beyond our control, and attempting to force outcomes only leads to frustration and anger. By accepting the limits of our control and focusing on what we can influence, our own actions and attitudes, we can release the need for control and the anger that comes with it. This acceptance brings a profound sense of peace and frees us from the emotional turmoil of trying to control the uncontrollable. Seneca also advises us to examine the consequences of anger. In moments of rage, it's easy to act impulsively, without considering the long-term effects of our actions. But Seneca teaches that anger often leads to actions we later regret. Harsh words, damaged relationships, poor decisions. By taking a moment to reflect on the potential consequences of our anger before we act, we can avoid unnecessary harm to ourselves and others. This foresight helps us act with greater wisdom and prevents us from creating more problems in our lives. Another crucial aspect of controlling anger, according to Seneca, is cultivating a sense of humility. Anger often arises from a sense of wounded pride, from the belief that we deserve better treatment or that we are entitled to certain outcomes. Seneca teaches that by embracing humility, we can reduce our susceptibility to anger. Humility helps us recognize that we are not infallible, that we too make mistakes, and that we are no more deserving of perfection than anyone else. This perspective softens our ego and allows us to approach life with greater patience and understanding. Seneca also speaks to the power of detachment in managing anger. Much of our anger comes from being overly attached to outcomes, people, or possessions. When we cling too tightly to these things, any threat to them triggers anger. But Seneca encourages us to practice detachment, to recognize that nothing in life is truly ours to keep. By loosening our grip on the things we hold dear, we reduce the fear of loss and the anger that arises when things don't go our way. This detachment doesn't mean we stop caring, but rather that we approach life with a sense of flexibility and openness, allowing us to navigate challenges with greater ease. A key part of controlling anger, according to Seneca, is the practice of rational thought. Anger is fueled by irrational beliefs. beliefs that we have been wronged, that others must meet our expectations, or that life must go according to our plans. By questioning these beliefs and applying reason, we can dismantle the foundation of our anger. Seneca teaches that rational thinking allows us to see situations more clearly without the distortion of emotion. This clarity helps us respond to life's challenges with calm and wisdom, rather than reacting impulsively out of anger. Seneca also highlights the importance of understanding the impermanence of anger. Anger, like all emotions, is temporary. It may feel overwhelming in the moment, but it will pass if we allow it to. Seneca teaches that by recognizing the fleeting nature of anger, we can avoid being swept up in it. Instead of acting on anger in the heat of the moment, we can wait for it to subside, knowing that it is not a permanent state. This patience allows us to respond to situations more thoughtfully and prevents us from making rash decisions based on temporary emotions. Seneca also reminds us that anger often stems from unmet desires. When we don't get what we want, anger arises. But Seneca encourages us to examine the nature of our desires and question whether they are truly necessary for our happiness. Often, we become angry over things that, in the grand scheme of life, are trivial. By letting go of unnecessary desires and focusing on what truly matters, we reduce the opportunities for anger to arise. This simplicity of desire brings a sense of peace and contentment, freeing us from the emotional turbulence of constantly wanting more. Another important lesson from Seneca is the power of practicing self-compassion. Often, we are hardest on ourselves, and this internal anger can spill over into our interactions with others. By learning to treat ourselves with kindness and understanding, we can reduce the anger we direct inward. Seneca teaches that self-compassion is not about excusing our mistakes, but about recognizing our humanity and allowing ourselves the grace to learn and grow. When we practice self-compassion, we create a more peaceful inner world, which in turn helps us approach the outside world with greater calm and patience. Seneca also emphasizes the importance of focusing on what is within our control. Anger often arises when we feel powerless, when external circumstances don't align with our desires. But Seneca teaches that the only thing we truly have control over is our own mind, our thoughts, attitudes, and reactions. By shifting our focus from the external world to our internal state, we can regain a sense of control and reduce the feelings of frustration that lead to anger. This internal locus of control empowers us to face life's challenges with resilience and composure. A key part of Seneca's philosophy on anger is the practice of gratitude. When we focus on what we are grateful for, it becomes harder to remain angry. Gratitude shifts our attention from what we lack to what we have, from what went wrong to what went right. By cultivating a mindset of gratitude, we can transform anger into appreciation. Seneca teaches that by regularly reflecting on the good in our lives, we can maintain a sense of perspective and keep our emotions in balance. Gratitude grounds us in the present moment and helps us let go of the frustrations that fuel anger. Seneca also believed that controlling anger requires us to be proactive rather than reactive. Too often, we allow external events to dictate our emotional state, reacting to whatever happens around us. But Seneca teaches that true strength comes from being proactive, anticipating challenges, preparing for adversity, and maintaining a steady mind in the face of difficulties. By cultivating this proactive mindset, we become less susceptible to the emotional swings that lead to anger. We can navigate life with greater stability and peace, responding to challenges with calm rather than reacting with rage. Seneca also reminds us that controlling anger requires us to practice acceptance. Life is full of unexpected challenges, and often things do not go according to plan. Anger arises when we resist reality, when we refuse to accept what is. But Seneca teaches that by practicing acceptance of ourselves, of others, and of the world as it is, we can reduce the inner tension that leads to anger. Acceptance is not resignation, it is a recognition of reality as it is. This mindset allows us to move through life with greater ease, responding to challenges with calm rather than frustration. Another essential part of controlling anger, according to Seneca, is maintaining a sense of humility. Anger often arises when we believe we are entitled to something, whether it's respect, recognition, or success. But Seneca teaches that humility helps us recognize that we are not owed anything by the world. By approaching life with humility, we reduce the expectations that often lead to disappointment and anger. This humility allows us to be more flexible, to adjust to life's changes without becoming emotionally reactive. Seneca also emphasizes the importance of self-reflection in managing anger. Controlling anger requires us to regularly reflect on our thoughts, behaviors, and emotional triggers. By engaging in self-reflection, we can gain insight into the patterns that lead to anger and begin to address them at their root. This process of introspection allows us to take responsibility for our emotions rather than blaming others or external circumstances. Self-reflection is a powerful tool for personal growth, helping us become more aware of our inner world and more capable of managing our emotions with wisdom and grace. A final lesson from Seneca is the importance of practicing forgiveness, both for others and for ourselves. Anger often lingers when we hold on to grudges, replaying past wrongs in our minds. But Seneca teaches that forgiveness is the key to releasing this anger and finding peace. Forgiveness is not about excusing bad behavior. It is about freeing ourselves from the emotional burden of resentment. By practicing forgiveness, we let go of the past and allow ourselves to move forward with a lighter heart. This act of letting go is essential for maintaining inner peace and reducing the anger that can cloud our minds and hearts. Having explored Seneca's insights into controlling anger, it's time to dive into the broader teachings of another Stoic philosopher, Epictetus. Where Seneca guides us in managing specific emotions, Epictetus offers a framework for life itself, teaching us how to live with strength, resilience, and purpose through the lens of Stoicism. His teachings focus on mastering the self, understanding what is within our control, and learning to accept what is not. In a world filled with unpredictability, Epictetus provides a clear path to inner peace and a life lived in accordance with nature and reason. Now, let us dive into what it means to truly be a Stoic, following the teachings of Epictetus. At the heart of Epictetus's philosophy is the principle that there are things within our control and things outside of our control. This distinction forms the foundation of Stoic thought. The things within our control include our thoughts, actions, and responses, while everything else, other people's actions, external events, even our own physical health, lies outside of our control. Epictetus teaches that peace comes from focusing only on what we can control and accepting everything else with equanimity. This mindset shifts our focus inward, giving us the power to shape our own happiness rather than being at the mercy of external circumstances. Epictetus stresses the importance of personal responsibility. He teaches that no one else is responsible for our happiness, success, or failure. Only we are. This concept empowers us to take full ownership of our lives, knowing that while we cannot control what happens to us, we can always control how we respond. By accepting responsibility for our thoughts and actions, we reclaim our power and begin to live with greater purpose and intention. This personal accountability is a cornerstone of Stoicism and a key to living a life of integrity and strength. Another core teaching of Epictetus is the value of reason. He believed that human beings are unique in their ability to reason, and that this capacity should guide our lives. By living in accordance with reason, we align ourselves with nature and the natural order of the world. Reason helps us navigate life's challenges with clarity and composure, allowing us to make decisions based on wisdom rather than emotion. Epictetus encourages us to cultivate this rational mindset, which enables us to live with greater clarity and purpose, unaffected by the emotional turbulence that often distorts our judgment. A key aspect of being a Stoic, according to Epictetus, is the practice of self-discipline. He teaches that in order to live a virtuous life, we must learn to master our desires, impulses, and habits. Self-discipline allows us to stay focused on what truly matters and avoid distractions that pull us away from our higher purpose. This discipline is not about deprivation, but about aligning our actions with our values. By practicing self-discipline, we gain greater control over our lives and cultivate the inner strength needed to face life's challenges with calm and resilience. Epictetus also teaches the importance of acceptance. One of the central tenets of Stoicism is accepting what is beyond our control. This doesn't mean passivity or resignation, but rather a deep understanding that resisting reality only leads to suffering. When we accept what we cannot change, we free ourselves from unnecessary frustration and emotional turmoil. This acceptance allows us to focus on what we can influence and approach life's challenges with greater peace and clarity. By practicing acceptance, we align ourselves with the flow of life rather than fighting against it. Another important lesson from Epictetus is the practice of gratitude. Even in difficult times, Epictetus teaches that there is always something to be grateful for. Gratitude shifts our focus from what we lack to what we have, helping us cultivate a mindset of abundance and contentment. This practice is particularly powerful when faced with adversity. By focusing on the good in our lives, we strengthen our resilience and remind ourselves that we are capable of finding peace even in challenging circumstances. Gratitude, according to Epictetus, is a key to living with joy and equanimity. Epictetus also believed in the power of resilience. He teaches that life is full of challenges, but it is how we respond to those challenges that defines us. Resilience is the ability to recover from setbacks, to face difficulties with strength and perseverance. This is a core principle of Stoicism, to not be broken by adversity, but to rise above it, stronger and wiser. Epictetus reminds us that we cannot avoid hardship, but we can always choose how we respond to it. By cultivating resilience, we become unshakable, able to face whatever life throws our way with calm and confidence. A key part of Epictetus's teachings is the practice of detachment. Detachment doesn't mean indifference, but rather the ability to remain unaffected by external circumstances. Epictetus teaches that by detaching from outcomes, possessions, and even relationships, we free ourselves from the emotional highs and lows that come with attachment. This detachment allows us to live more peacefully, knowing that our worth and happiness are not tied to anything external. By practicing detachment, we gain greater emotional freedom and clarity, allowing us to focus on what truly matters in life. Epictetus also emphasizes the importance of living in harmony with nature. For the Stoics, living according to nature means aligning ourselves with the natural order of the world, accepting the inevitability of change, and recognizing our place within the larger whole. This mindset helps us find peace in the face of life's unpredictability, knowing that everything happens for a reason, even if we cannot always see it. By embracing this understanding of nature, we learn to accept the ebb and flow of life with grace, finding serenity in the knowledge that we are part of something much larger than ourselves. One of the most powerful teachings from Epictetus is the idea that our thoughts shape our reality. He teaches that it is not the events themselves that disturb us, but our interpretation of those events. This concept gives us tremendous power over our own experience of life. By changing the way we think about challenges, setbacks, or difficulties, we can change how we feel about them. This mindset shift allows us to turn obstacles into opportunities for growth and learning, transforming adversity into a tool for personal development. In this way, Epictetus empowers us to take control of our inner world, regardless of what is happening in the external world. Epictetus also speaks to the importance of simplicity. He teaches that much of our suffering comes from complicating our lives with unnecessary desires, possessions, or ambitions. By simplifying our lives and focusing on what truly matters, we free ourselves from the distractions that often pull us away from our higher purpose. This simplicity is not about living with less for its own sake, but about creating space for the things that bring true meaning and fulfillment. By embracing simplicity, we cultivate a sense of peace and contentment, free from the endless pursuit of more. A fundamental aspect of Stoicism, according to Epictetus, is the practice of virtue. For the Stoics, virtue is the highest good and the key to living a meaningful life. Virtue is not about moral superiority, but about living in accordance with our highest values: integrity, courage, justice, and wisdom. Epictetus teaches that by cultivating virtue, we align ourselves with our true nature and live in harmony with the world around us. This commitment to virtue gives our lives direction and purpose, allowing us to live with greater clarity and peace. Epictetus also emphasizes the importance of self-awareness. He teaches that in order to live a virtuous life, we must first know ourselves, our strengths, weaknesses, desires, and fears. This self-awareness is essential for personal growth and for making choices that are aligned with our true values. By regularly reflecting on our thoughts and actions, we gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and can make more informed decisions about how we live our lives. This self-awareness allows us to live with greater intention and authenticity, free from the influence of external pressures. Epictetus reminds us of the importance of humility. He teaches that while we may strive for wisdom and virtue, we are always learning, always growing. Humility allows us to approach life with an open mind, recognizing that there is always more to learn and that we are never above making mistakes. This humility also helps us stay grounded, preventing us from becoming arrogant or overly attached to our own opinions. By practicing humility, we cultivate a sense of openness and curiosity, allowing us to continue evolving and growing throughout our lives. Another key teaching from Epictetus is the idea that suffering is often a result of attachment to our desires. When we become overly attached to specific outcomes or desires, we set ourselves up for disappointment and frustration when things don't go as planned. Epictetus encourages us to let go of these attachments and approach life with a sense of openness and acceptance. By releasing our need for things to be a certain way, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering and allow ourselves to experience greater peace and contentment, regardless of the circumstances. Epictetus also teaches the importance of focusing on the present moment. He believed that much of our suffering comes from dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. By focusing on the present, we can fully engage with life as it is, rather than getting lost in what was or what might be. This practice of mindfulness helps us stay grounded and calm, allowing us to respond to life's challenges with greater clarity and composure. By living in the present, we can make the most of each moment and live with greater purpose and intention. Epictetus teaches that one of the most valuable skills we can develop is the ability to control our reactions. While we cannot control what happens to us, we can always control how we respond. This ability to choose our response is what gives us true freedom. By cultivating emotional resilience and learning to respond to challenges with calm and reason, we gain greater control over our lives and reduce the influence of external events on our inner peace. This practice of self-mastery is central to Stoicism and is key to living with strength and serenity. Epictetus also emphasizes the importance of community. While Stoicism teaches us to be self-reliant, it also recognizes the value of relationships and social connections. Epictetus teaches that we are all part of a larger whole and that our actions have an impact on those around us. By cultivating strong relationships and contributing to the well-being of our community, we live in accordance with the Stoic principle of acting for the common good. This sense of interconnectedness helps us find meaning and purpose in our lives, knowing that we are part of something greater than ourselves. A central lesson from Epictetus is the importance of practicing gratitude in all circumstances. Even in difficult times, he teaches that there is always something to be grateful for. This mindset of gratitude helps us maintain perspective and find peace, even in the face of adversity. By focusing on the good in our lives, we strengthen our resilience and remind ourselves of the abundance that surrounds us. Gratitude shifts our focus from what is lacking to what is present, allowing us to experience greater contentment and joy. Epictetus also teaches the importance of maintaining a sense of purpose. He believed that living with purpose is essential for a fulfilling life. This purpose is not defined by external achievements or societal expectations, but by living in alignment with our values and contributing to the well-being of others. By cultivating a sense of purpose, we give our lives direction and meaning, helping us navigate life's challenges with clarity and resilience. This purpose becomes our guiding light, helping us stay focused on what truly matters and avoiding the distractions that often lead us astray. Epictetus also believed in the power of inner peace. He teaches that true peace comes not from external circumstances, but from within. This inner peace is cultivated through self-awareness, acceptance, and the practice of virtue. By focusing on our inner world and aligning our actions with our values, we create a sense of harmony and balance that is not easily disrupted by external events. This inner peace allows us to navigate life with greater ease and grace, unaffected by the chaos and unpredictability of the external world. Another key teaching from Epictetus is the importance of detachment from praise and criticism. He teaches that both praise and criticism are external judgments that often have little to do with our true worth. By detaching from the need for approval or the fear of criticism, we free ourselves from the influence of others' opinions and gain greater control over our own happiness. This detachment allows us to live more authentically, guided by our own values rather than by the expectations or judgments of others. It is a practice that brings greater self-confidence and inner peace. Epictetus also teaches that our thoughts create our reality. He reminds us that it is not the events themselves that disturb us, but our thoughts about those events. By changing our thoughts, we change our experience of life. This mindset shift gives us tremendous power over our own happiness and peace of mind. By cultivating positive, rational thoughts and letting go of negative or irrational beliefs, we can transform our inner world and, in turn, our outer experience. This practice of cognitive mastery is central to Stoicism and is key to living with strength and resilience. Epictetus reminds us that true freedom comes from within. While external freedom can be taken away, our inner freedom, Our ability to choose our thoughts, reactions, and attitudes can never be taken from us. This inner freedom is the foundation of Stoic philosophy, and it is what allows us to remain calm and composed even in the face of life's greatest challenges. By focusing on cultivating this inner freedom, we gain the strength to navigate life with resilience and grace, knowing that our peace of mind is always within our control. The teachings of Epictetus provide a powerful framework for living a life of strength, resilience, and purpose. By focusing on what is within our control, practicing virtue, and cultivating inner peace, we can live in harmony with the world around us and navigate life's challenges with grace. Epictetus's philosophy reminds us that true happiness and fulfillment come not from external circumstances, but from within, and that by mastering ourselves, we can live with greater freedom, joy, and serenity. As we come to the end of exploring the Stoic lessons that have transformed lives, it becomes clear that these teachings are more than just philosophical ideas. They are practical tools for navigating the challenges of life with strength, resilience, and clarity. From Machiavelli's advice on power and Nietzsche's call for self-overcoming to Seneca's wisdom on managing time and anger, each lesson holds the potential to reshape how we see ourselves and the world. These Stoic principles guide us toward mastering our minds, conquering fear, building self-discipline, and living a life of purpose. Epictetus reminds us that our true power lies within, how we think, respond, and live in harmony with our values. These lessons challenge us to shift our focus inward, to embrace personal growth, and to rise above the chaos of life with calm and control. They invite us to not only survive, but to thrive, to face adversity with courage, and to build a life aligned with our highest values. If these lessons have sparked something within you, I encourage you to leave a comment below. Share how Stoicism resonates with you, or what lesson has impacted you most. Your voice and insight are valuable, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you found value in this journey, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an opportunity to learn, grow, and apply these timeless teachings to your life. Together, let's continue to evolve and become the best versions of ourselves.